17 years ago, the world was ending, and one man stood in the middle of it. A dungeon is caving in around him, fire everywhere, and a voice cuts through the smoke to warn that the whole place is collapsing. Up above, a skeletal thing screams the same order twice. Kill them, while an armored fighter plants himself between it and everyone below. The fighter digs in and holds the line against wave after wave, but this stand costs him everything. He dies here in the final dungeon, and years later, only his memorial plaque remains, to mark that he never walked out. Then this guy grins in the middle of getting crushed and raises a glowing blade like the fight's already his. Once you return, he says, then adds, get to work on my biography. The world's ending, and he's already thinking about the legend. That man is Seoman, the strongest Esper who ever lived, and this is where the legend gets buried. But to see how the world got this bad, you have to go back to where it all started. Humanity had no idea what was under their feet. Deep underground lived a whole civilization, the Burrowers, and one day their skeletal ruler grinned and decided the surface belonged to him. Purple energy tears the ground open, and the invasion begins. People scattering and screaming as a colossal winged creature rises over the city, marking the moment humanity's world stops being safe. Skull creatures with glowing eyes pour out, monstrous forms tower over the ruins, and just like that, humanity is staring down extinction. Then something new lights up in the dark. Golden power bursts out of a human, a roar goes up, and for the first time the monsters have a fight on their hands. The Burrowers had powers nobody could explain, strong enough to shrug off almost anything thrown at them. But a handful of humans woke up with mysterious powers of their own, and they started swinging back. These were the Espers, and one by one they cracked open the underground dungeons and cleared them. An Esper in golden armor goes head to head with a massive burrower and keeps pushing, and the tide finally starts to turn. Then the last door opens, the final dungeon gate, the burrower's home base, and in the spring of 2004, 7 of the strongest Espers alive gathered in front of it. They stormed the final dungeon, threw everything they had at it, and ended the long war for good. The world called them the 7 heroes, and one of them never came home. For ending the war, the 7 heroes get everything. The world drops parades and gifts at their feet, and they walk through cheering streets like kings. But one of them never walked back out. Seoman stayed behind in that dungeon, and the world only got his empty seat. The 6 who came home turned into superstars, waving to huge crowds outside gleaming buildings. And the one who died, he turned into a legend, honored with a lance and shield like a god. Cut to now, 17 years later. Big title card, International Battlefield Arena, Seoman Korea versus France, and everyone's calling it a make-or-break match. France opens fire, and Korea just stands there. The commentators are already sweating, saying our guys can't even react. Then the camera finds the reason. Nathan Bernard, France's elite ace, eyes lit up cold, and he tears through the Korean team one after another. He blows the whole field apart and just stands there in the wreckage, white hair flowing like the match already ended. The tally pops up, 6 kills alone. Back on the Korean bench, head coach Baek Jae-ho watches Nathan's hologram and mutters, damn it. The commentators confirm it out loud. Nathan's a top 3 Esper on the planet, and Korea is about to get wiped. One Korean fighter refuses to fold. Baek Haeun, Korea's ace and daughter of one of the 7 heroes, powers up and throws everything she has right back at France. Her opponent actually flinches, recognizing whose kid she is, but he answers with a blast of his own, and even a hero's daughter can't carry a whole team by herself. The broadcast makes it official. Korea couldn't touch Nathan, who racked up a 7-kill streak in the second set and grabbed MVP. Final score 0-11, a total shutout, and the sting is the history. The commentators remind everyone these are the Korean Espers who once swept dungeons and ruled an era, now getting blanked on their home floor. His nameplate says head coach, but Baek Jae-ho can barely look up. A loss this ugly, he knows, doesn't just hurt the team, it shames the whole country. The booth can't even find words, saying they can't imagine how gutted the fans are. On the bench, a player just sighs, kinda messed that up. Understatement of the year. Baek Jae-ho grips the railing, staring down at the arena domes and mutters, what a mess. And this is no random coach eating the blame. This is Baek Jae-ho, one of the surviving 7 heroes, watching the country he saved get humiliated. The match ends and Baek Jae-ho's link cuts out cold, the system flatly telling him he's disconnected. He just sits there in the Esper module suit, not moving. He turns over what the crowd's been saying. Everyone on this team is replaceable except Baek Haeun. Korean Espers used to be famous for their strong wills and raw strength, he thinks. But the ones who were actually better than this left a long time ago. And the very best of them, the ones he stood beside, they died. He remembers one of them glowing with that old power, and it sits heavy on him. Baek Jae-ho stares out a window at nothing and quietly says the thing he's been holding down. It would be nice if you were still alive. Then a knock. Someone's at the door telling him the interviews are waiting, everyone's out there, and please coach, you have to go. He walks into the room where the staff are gathered. One of them pats him on the back over and over, distressed, while Baek Jae-ho just stays calm. When they beg him not to quit, telling him he's barely been coached long, and this is only the start, he isn't hearing it. Every match like this, he thinks, only drags his name down further. Behind him, someone's still worried sick, but Baek Jae-ho has already decided. This time he's really going to resign. Then his phone lights up. The president of the association. Great, he thinks. Here comes the lecture. He answers, ready for a scolding, but the president is shouting over him about news. Baek Jae-ho goes still. What? What did you just say? And whatever that news is, it's already landing on the city. An Esper's power tears down out of the sky in pink magenta lightning, and someone is dropping straight toward a crowded square. A huge armored figure crashes down over the streets, plants himself in a hero's stance with an ornate staff in and shield and just says hello. The crowd goes dead quiet, then starts whispering the name they buried 17 years ago. Phones go up all around him, and the whisper becomes a shout, Seomon Yup. The legend everyone mourned is standing right there in the plaza, not aged a day. Then another Esper comes at him and they collide, metal jarring on metal. Whoever this challenger is, he learns fast that swinging on the dead legend was a mistake. Their attacks cross once, and Seomon answers with a hit that throws his opponent straight up into the air. Korea's buried hero is back, and he picked up right where he left off. The challenger recoils, straining against the sheer force coming off Sama, and decides his only shot is to go all in. He pours everything into one fused blast, red and blue winding together, and launches it spinning straight at the buried legend. The attack detonates across the arena, one blast rolling into the next until the whole floor is nothing but impact. But Seomon rides straight through it, spins low, and slams both hands down to answer the barrage. When the smoke clears, his eyes are still locked forward, glowing, unbothered. And that's when you realize none of this is real fighting at all. This is a virtual dungeon. A huge armored boss thuds down and looms right over him, and the arena announcement drops the trap. The dungeon doors have closed, no way out until it's dead. So the boss channels red power and summons an entire army to bury him. Seomon braces against the whole swarm, charges up and mutters, now then, like the odds just got interesting instead of impossible. He tears through the horde, fire and energy blasting out. The boss's army shredded around him. The armored entity rises for its last stand, and Seomon plants his shield and pushes into it, straining, eyes burning blue. His eye flares one last time, and a jolt runs through him as the fight burns him out, and everything snaps to white. Then a man in a white shirt jolts awake gasping, ripped out of that dungeon and into a bed. Seomon sits up, chest heaving, and looks around at a room he does not recognize. A hospital worker rushes over, thrilled. Oh, you're awake? Seomon stares down at the bandages wrapped around his torso and can barely get the words out. Am I? The staffer explains he's in a hospital, and that lands like nonsense. Seomon looks down at the wrapped chest, at the gown, at all of it, and none of it fits the fight he was just in. He snaps, angry and lost. What the hell are you talking about? The worker just tries to steady him. I'm sure this is all very confusing. And outside, it's already national news. Seomon Yup in a hospital. The man they buried 17 years ago is breathing on a bed, and experts can only cautiously guess how. Then a woman comes in to sit with him and asks the question he's dreading. Has it really been 17 years? Yes, she tells him. That's why there's a commotion outside. The whole world is at his door, and Seomon is just now realizing how much of his life vanished while he was gone. The caretaker tells Seomon the reporters have been camped outside since he got here. He just scoffs, still furious about a world that moved on without him. Those bastards haven't changed. 17 years. Then he catches his reflection and freezes. He asks if the mirror is broken because the man staring back hasn't aged a single day. The caretaker can only guess it's some space-time distortion, and she admits she's never heard of one stretching 17 years. But Seomon isn't thinking about physics. He's thinking about his money. A news clip answers him everything he owned was donated to a children's fund while he was gone. His whole fortune handed off in his name. He grasps for anything left and asks about his car, only to hear it went to a charity auction too. The legend who saved the world is now broke, and the kids' fund is thriving. His eyes flare and his fists shake as it all lands. Homeless without a cent, my name? 17 years dead, and he woke up with nothing but the name. The caretaker mentions someone said he'll be here soon, then leaves him alone, telling him to ring if he needs anything. Alone now, Seomon decides to stop spiraling and get practical. He'll grill Jaeho for the details later, but first he wants to check his own body, so he pulls up his Esper status window. And that pulls him back into how he even knows Jaeho. Back when Seomon was the strongest Esper alive, his signature power was ability detection. He could read a person's dormant talents, the ones that hadn't even awakened yet. That gift let him grow faster than anyone, and one day a scrappy kid begged him, please accept me as your pupil. That kid was Bak Jaeho, who would go on to become one of the 7 heroes who ended the Burrowers' War. Back in the present, Seomon reads Jaeho's stats now, and his eyebrows shoot up. What's this? I thought he was a loser. Then he sees it, a monster developmental ceiling. But something doesn't add up, and it stops him cold. Jaeho's current numbers are far too low for the full power hero Seomun remembers. Then how is it no? The gap between what he sees and what Jaeho should be forces a shocking realization. Right then the door opens and a man walks in. Seomon stares, barely able to get it out. Are you? And the man finishes it for him, quiet. Jaeho? This is Bake Jaeho, one of the 7 heroes, his old pupil, now 17 years older. Seomon looks him over and delivers his verdict flat. You've gotten a lot weaker. No hugs, straight to the review. Later, up on the rooftop with drinks, Jaeho ribs him about the reunion. Hey, are you done crying now? Seomon waves off the whole aging thing, because as far as his body knows, no time passed at all. I'm still young, so I don't have any idea about that. The reunion's done, and now the two of them have a lot to catch up on. Still up on the rooftop, Seomon turns serious and asks the one thing on his mind. Did Bak Jaeho keep his promise? Bak Jaeho just blinks over his coffee, no idea what promise he's talking about. Then it clicks, and Bake Jaeho admits he hired a ghostwriter to handle it. He shows off the result, a biography of Seomun's life, written by a guy famous for fantasy novels, titled Savior of the World. Seomon eyes the fantasy novelist credit and asks, deadpan, if the book opens with him hatching out of an egg. Then he goes quiet and looks down. He lays it out plain. He thought he died in that dungeon, woke up in a hospital, and 17 years were just gone. Everything out here feels brand new to him now. Bake Jaeho leans in and tells his old master to lean lean on him. If Saemon needs money, he says, he's got it covered. Seomun fires back, asking if all that money actually means Baek Jae-ho can do anything, and Baek Jae-ho shrinks right back into his chair. To prove he's more than a wallet, Baek Jae-ho insists he has a real job. Seomun bites, oh yeah? Doing what? And Baek Jae-ho tells him he's a coach. Not just any coach either. Baek Jae-ho is head coach of the national team, and he mumbles it so low that the guy next to him asks why he's saying it so quietly. What kind of coach even is he? Instead of answering, Baek Jae-ho pulls up a holographic screen and shows Seomun a World Cup qualifying match. This is where Korea's whole decline gets laid on the table. Seomun watches two espers go at it on the screen, powers flying. The same kind of combat that used to be life and death against real threats is now just a broadcast people bet nations on. Baek Jae-ho explains it. The powers that once fought the burrowers didn't disappear, they got turned into a business. Whole leagues of espers playing for their countries. Seomun scoffs that the whole thing sounds like kids playing make-believe. Baek Jae-ho pushes back hard. Among the top-ranked players, some are strong enough to stand toe-to-toe with the 7 heroes themselves. And the World Cup ranking, Baek Jae-ho says, is a nation's pride now. Seomun, still unimpressed, tells him to stop mumbling and asks if he's gone deaf in his old age. So Seomun cuts to it, what rank is Korea then? Baek Jae-ho stalls, fumbles with his cup, starts and stops. Finally, he says it, dead last, and the coffee cup slips right out of his hand and hits the ground. 17 years, and the country he died for is at the very bottom. That number hits Seomun hard. His esper power surges out of him on its own, silent but strong enough that the whole street can feel the raw force pouring off him. Out on the highway, the esper shockwave rips loose from their fight and slams into traffic. Cars light up, one gets thrown like something exploded, and the passengers inside just stare, going, huh, what? Bystanders suddenly caught in a power they can't see or understand. So here's where we're at. Seomun died 17 years ago saving the world, came back not aged a day, and just learned Korea's dead last in battlefield. Now he's in the car with Baek Jae-ho, listening to the driver explain exactly how the country fell apart. The driver says all the strong Korean espers went abroad to become athletes for other countries. It's a full brain drain, and hearing it, Seomun's power flickers on its own. Baek Jae-ho picks at the old wound too. Back in their day, he says, there were scumbags trying to use espers as tools, ministers and presidents, all of it. Seomun fought those people with words. He hated being treated like a weapon. Baek Jae-ho tells him none of it was a waste, and not to worry. Then a news alert lights up Seomun's tablet. Headlines everywhere. Seomun Yup likely to return. Baek Jae-ho asks if he's interested in Battlefield. Seomun waves it off flat. It's a circus, and he hates it. Then a giant perfume billboard rolls by, a gorgeous woman on it, and Seomun actually stops to admire her. Look at those eyes, he says. Baek Jae-ho, without missing a beat, tells him that's his daughter, and Seomun nearly short circuits because last he saw Baek Haeun, the hero's daughter, she was 6 years old. They marvel at how grown up she is now. Baek Jae-ho goes quiet and says 17 years passed in the blink of an eye. For Seomun, gone a week. For everyone else, a lifetime. The car finally announces they've arrived, and a woman comes running out shouting his name. It's a real welcome home. She's overjoyed he's really back, says it's been so long. Seomun answers dry as ever. For me, it's been exactly 1 week. He jokes he got old in that 1 week, and she waves the driving question off. Then the weight of it lands. Seomun Yup realizes he actually survived and made it back, after everyone believed him gone for 17 years. Standing there, power humming off him, Seomun lets it sink in. He actually survived. He came back to a peaceful world with no wars and no dungeons. So the world's strongest esper does the most world's strongest esper thing possible. He flops on the couch and asks if there's anything good on TV. And that's when Battlefield flashes up on the screen. Seomun bolts upright, staring, because the thing he just called a circus is now right in front of him. Baek Jae-ho jumps at the sudden shock, and Seomun's questions start flying. Then Baek Jae-ho drops the real problem. The reporters have been camped outside for days now, and he yanks the curtain shut. Seomun gets up, calm and decided. He looks out at the crowd swarming the entrance, all of them waiting for the dead legend. He steadies his breathing, dusts himself off, and gives the order, gather every reporter tomorrow, all of them in one place on his terms. They trade rumors while they wait that he throws a fit when things don't go his way, wondering if this goes smoothly. Then the energy flares and the press conference begins. Somewhere off to the side, Baek Jae-ho watches the press conference and lets out a breath of relief. He's handling it properly this time, he thinks. What a relief. The questions come fast. A reporter asks about the lost time, and Seomun just shrugs. He woke up in a hospital with no memory, no explanation for 17 missing years. For him, it still feels like 2005 was days ago. A reporter pushes on whether he's contacted the other 7 heroes, and Seomun waves it off, pointing to the next reporter to go ahead. Then he circles back and confirms it flatly, yes, he's been in contact with the other 7 heroes. Back in the room, an older man in a suit is grilling a player in a blue tracksuit, and the player snaps back an emphatic not at all. The interviewer just smiles and presses him. For what reason? The interviewer keeps needling, grinning wider, asking if maybe the player just lacks confidence. The player's head whips around, the crowd stirs, and he's clearly done tolerating the digs at his ability. The player shuts it down cold. He's not interested in Battlefield, he doesn't find it fun. He grabs the mic and says he hopes their curiosity's satisfied and warns them to stop harassing him. The interviewer laughs, thanks him for coming, and the player turns to walk off. But the older man raises a hand. One more question before you go. The interviewer drops the bait. Someone out there claimed to be so far above everyone that even the 7 heroes could never touch him. The player stops and just goes quiet, turning that over in his head. Now we're with with Baek Jaho, one of the 7 heroes and Korea's coach, laying out who this rival even is. He explains the guy's a star player and American. Baek Jaho names the world's top names: Nathan Bernard of France, Ireland's Roy Meyer, Daniel Mance of Germany. Then he slides his glasses up and gets to the player in question, Walker, a genuinely skilled esper, but not quite in that top tier. And that's the whole point of the jab. If you're not in the top 3, you've got no business being this arrogant. That's the trash talk aimed straight at Walker. Walker mutters it low, and the room hears it. He should come find me. The bystanders murmur nervously, because a challenge like that doesn't stay quiet. Somewhere else, that challenge lands on the man it was meant for. His face sets, brow furrowed, and his fist clenches until esper energy crackles around it. He throws a punch, and the energy detonates on impact hard enough to blow something apart. Someone off-panel just yells about the wreckage as splinters fly. He doesn't cool off. He calls for the jet, ordered ready to fly to Korea, and someone announces the reason. An official A match is coming. An international match between national teams, American against Korea. An aide fills him in on Walker's moves, saying he's been frothing at the mouth ever since he got made a public laughingstock. Then the aide floats the key question hanging over any national team match. Hyun will be there too, right? And that name drops us into a Korean living room, where Baek Hyun, top 3 esper and daughter of one of the 7 heroes, is about to get her own scene. Somebody recoils in shock, saying they got scared and had no idea what just happened, because Hyun has a habit of forgetting her own strength. She asks where Uncle Yup is, and her family tells her he's in the living room watching TV. She lights up and rushes off, and a family member scolds her on the way. Think about how big you've gotten. She almost killed her uncle last time. But it's Seomun waiting there, and he just breaks into a grin and ruffles her hair. Was worried you'd forgotten me, he says. It's been so long. Hyun melts into the memory, telling Seomun how they used to play together, how he'd buy her snacks and chocolates, how much she liked him back when her parents never let her have anything. She waves off the whole A match like it's nothing. Came to see you, she says. The A match is just extra. Seomun grins at how far she's come, remembering when the biggest thing she'd ever ask him for was a bag of snacks. Now grown Hyun just smiles back with something hiding behind it. You'll see, she says. That teaser lands them at the Korean Battlefield Association building, where staff wave them through toward the stage area. Baek Jaho, one of the 7 heroes and now a coach here, tells Haeon they'll run her avatar check first. Hyun settles into the avatar chamber, and the helmet drops over her head, sinking her esper power into her battlefield form. Behind the glass, Seomin watches the monitors, curious to see what the little girl who begged for chocolate turned into. Then her power surges out of the avatar, and a dark furry beast with glowing red eyes rips into existence in the arena, jaws wide. Seomin leans in, that grin fading into a reed. Baek Jaho explains her avatar runs a unique battle system, then says the thing Seomun's already waiting for. Let's see how good Haeon is. Hyun's avatar lunges straight at the beast, armor flaring as she pulls a glowing weapon out of thin air. No hesitation, no warm-up, just a top 3 esper going for the kill. She launches up and brings the weapon down hard, and the beast folds under the first real hit. She keeps carving into it while it's still airborne, the thing completely overwhelmed and never given a chance to answer. So the scared little girl who'd almost killed her uncle now gutted a monster before it could blink, and it's exactly that display that puts Seomun in the mood to try the game himself. An official tells him he should grab a weapon before entering, and lays out the standard gear, spear, and shield. Seomun climbs into the pod and waves off the extras. I'm fine with just a spear, anything else will be cumbersome. Let's go ahead and do this. He suits up, the system announces dungeon entry, scans his physical stats, and builds an avatar off the numbers it just pulled. The strongest esper in history, getting measured by a video game. His avatar drops into the dungeon, and he takes stock of it, noting the feeling is close to walking through a real dungeon gate back in the day. Haeon's voice comes through the transmission cheering him on. Good luck, Uncle Yup. Our boy rolls his shoulders and loosens up like it's a jog. And right on cue, a monster appears and charges him down. 17 years dead, and the legend's about to remind the game what he is. Seomin settles into his stance as the monster charges. The system already told him it scanned every player's data to build the strongest possible avatars, so this thing in front of him should be no joke. They collide once, and the clash erupts in a blast that sends our boy recoiling. The first real test of whether a 17 years dead legend can still hang against the system's strongest build. Hyun's voice cracks over the line with a stunned no way. Someone asks if he really just beat Salabun by flicking it in the forehead. Seomun waves it off like it's nothing and says he isn't even warmed up yet. So he demands a stronger opponent. No more weak ones. He wants to actually test something. When the next one goes down just as fast, he just shrugs. Stronger, sure, but not by much. The operator stammers, confused, because the readings suddenly don't add up. He starts to explain that something has gone wrong, but can't get the words out before it hits. Then the enemy erupts in a huge fireball and swallows Seomun whole in the blast. This one grips its weapon and stands tall in the burning wreckage. Finally, a real fight. A bald giant swings a staff at him, and the two go at each other hard. The giant lands a bolt that flings Seomun clean off the platform, and for a second, the big guy loses track of where he even went. But our boy is not going down. Hell no, he snarls, eyes lit up, that grin creeping back as he clenches his fist and powers up mid-fall. He turns back on the bald giant, done playing around, teaming up with a small purple-jacketed figure to take the monster down together even though it towers twice their size over them. Then everything freezes. The scene snaps to a formal indoor room, tables and suits, and Seomun's just confused, asking what the heck is going on. An older official steps up and says flatly that he signed off on all of this himself. He personally authorized it. The reveal lands. This was the association association pulling the strings. A man in a suit apologizes for the scare and admits the news just never reached the on-site staff, so nobody down there knew what was happening. Turns out this was all set up for Walker, the skilled player who never cracked the top 3. He asks someone he calls Miss Moss if his performance was good enough, and she admits the whole request was pretty unorthodox. She figures if Walker has any conscience, he won't be able to argue against it. Walker takes the whole thing with a dark little smile, says he actually welcomes this, then activates his Esper power to prove himself and go through with the unorthodox request. Walker powers up, done pretending he doesn't care, and throws himself at Seomun at full speed. The two collide close, Esper against Esper, and the hit lands hard enough to blow the ground apart. Seomun drops into a low stance and channels his power, then cracks Walker with a heavy blow. Walker takes it bad, gripping his arm, and admits it out loud, this guy is way tougher than he figured. And here's the thing about Walker, his stats are stacked at the top, but the real trick is his special ability, physical strength and will, so he just refuses to stay down. Every time Seomun puts him down, Walker gets right back up, and Seomun actually pauses, thrown by how the guy won't break. Walker snaps at him to quit staring and fight. But Seomun's mind is somewhere else. He thinks, a kid this tough, running his mouth, if I'd had one like him 17 years ago at the final dungeon, things might have gone different. That drags Walker back to how it all started, wasting up alone in a hospital bed with a new power he didn't ask for, deciding the only way to know what it did was to test it. So back then, Walker throws his power at Salabun in a trial run, and the raw force it unleashes stuns even him. Proof his ability packs real destructive weight, the same durability he's leaning on now. Back in the present fight, Walker locks Seomun down with a freeze and blasts him back, but Seomun reads it, takes a clean step, and slips the whole thing. Then Seomun lands one square hit, POW, and the blast throws Walker clear across the ground. On the sideline, Baekhaeon, the hero's daughter, screams out, "Uncle Yup," and he answers her plain, "That's right." Because yeah, the man everyone buried is standing right there swinging. And here's the part that matters. Seomun stopped his strike a hair before it landed and didn't even flinch. He held back on purpose, watching how Walker kept flinging himself in like the man wanted to die. Then Seomun cuts loose with a massive blast, and it catches Walker full force. Walker's head snaps back and he's hurled across the terrain, done. The watchers on the side gasp, eyes blown wide at what just happened. But Walker just laughs it off through the wreckage, taunting them. All of this useless smoke, huh? Ha ha ha. While 3 spectators stare in pure horror at a man who should be down and isn't. Quick catch up on where we are. Seomun, the strongest Esper who died 17 years ago, is back and hasn't aged a day, and he's grinding through combat trials to rebuild Korea into a winning team. Right now, Seomun stands there, weapons drawn, staring at Walker, a man who should be dead. No. Impossible, he mutters. Then Walker strolls out of the clearing smoke, fully powered up and grinning. Ta-da, he says, cocky face and all, flashing a status badge like he's showing off a party trick. His status badge spells out the trick, Indomitable. Walker simply does not stay down, and his body shrugs the damage off on its own. Walker's thrilled, calling the test a success, but even he admits the problem out loud. A man who refuses to stay down is basically impossible to finish in a fair fight. He calls Baekhaeon over, and when she asks what's up, he lays it out. The trick is real, sure, but leaning on it right now would just feel dishonorable to him. Walker smirks, sure Seomun expects him to hide behind that trick as an excuse when he loses. Then he punches the ground and stomps straight toward our boy. Talking big about his own people, Walker hurls his spear crackling with red energy. Seomun just catches it bare hand, doesn't even blink. Walker's done being patient. Stop making excuses and fight, he snaps, saying he'll judge Seomun for himself. Seomun's game, but Walker throws in a jab, asking shouldn't the kid beat the top 3 first before acting untouchable? That lands wrong. Seomun grits his teeth and Walker taunts, did I hit a nerve? Then the two finally throw down for real. Energy exploding as they clash to settle who's actually stronger. A third fighter dragged into the fray. The blast settles and Walker stands there calm as ever, just soaking the hits and healing right back up. That immortality means Seomun can't actually put him down with force alone. So Seomun changes the approach. Someone calls out over here, redirecting him, and Walker's eyes suddenly goes wide with recognition, like he sees where this is going a second too late. Saman swings a sweeping strike over Walker's shoulder, and Walker barely braces before Saman launches straight up into a counter. Walker eats it and shakes it off, still standing, still healing. Not bad, but Seomun says, leaving it hanging, then decides he's done playing. I should start wrapping things up. He plants his stance and channels everything down through his legs, power building until it's obvious this is the finisher. Walker actually grunts in strain as it comes for him, immortal or not. Then Seomun unloads the whole thing in one clean burst, and even a guy who literally cannot die suddenly looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. The finisher lands, and the whole arena shakes with it. Walker, immortal or not, is buried under the blast, but the moment the dust clears, Seomun already has both hands up in a clean, controlled stance. The masked Walker cries out and drops hard, sitting there wrecked, but Seomun tells him the spear that missed him missed on purpose. He never meant to kill him at all. Then Seomun switches from beating him to teaching him. He tells Walker straight up he'll never win hiding behind that giant shield, and Walker just goes, what? Seomun tells him to trade the huge shield for a smaller one and quit playing the textbook tank. Walker has no idea what he's talking about, so Seomun spells it out. That big shield blocks his own line of sight. He says people warned Walker about this his whole life, that his field of vision was always too narrow. The shield was supposed to buy him time to look around while he fought, not blind him to the fight. fight. Walker stares at him and asks if he's just messing with him. Seomon shrugs it off, why would he bother, and tells Walker to figure out the rest himself since he's done and leaving. Then Seomon stops, turns back, and adds one more thing. Since Walker learned from him today, he's got a condition. Walker asks what condition. Seomon tells him to sign up for the A match happening in 2 weeks. Then a bald man lunges and grabs the spiky-haired youth, testing whether the kid can really fight after today's lesson. The kid clocks it instantly, thinking this bastard's got crazy eyes, and the man strikes. A watching group reacts, one of them catching their breath as a bearded man recognizes the youth being tested, jolting like he just realized who he's looking at before a grin spreads across his face. Then Seomon sits back, calm and sure of himself, declaring rise, a man riding high on his own success before anything can knock him down. That confidence flips straight into breaking news. A news anchor reports that Seomon Yup is heading to the US for a friendly match with the American team, and the condition was set by the American themselves. Seomon himself just goes, what? The word spreads fast. In an office, someone in a white jacket clutches their head in distress while an official gestures mid-panic over what this means. And a man stares at his phone, losing it over a video, snapping, hell is up with this video? Then whatever's on that screen hits Seomon himself like a punch, and he stammers, what? An older official has his hand on Seomon's shoulder, promising he made sure Seomon wouldn't be inconvenienced by the American deal. Then he gets cocky, saying they can surely kill at least one American player across 3 games, and Seomon's temper flares hot at the whole idea. The man grips Seomon's arm and leans in, asking how long they've known each other, testing him. Seomon just glares back, annoyed, snapping the man's name. Business settled, one of them shrugs it off and calls for dinner, telling the other guy he's paying. The brown-haired one turns and says he fully intends to keep his promise. Then the news breaks it wide open. Seomon Yup may actually enter Battlefield himself, and the whole country loses its mind over it. A TV guy gripes that this Salmon mess is why his show keeps getting bumped, while another man fumes that this one legend is causing him nothing but trouble. Seomon Yup himself watches from a window as someone trains outside, calling out to lean into the drill. The very legend everyone's fuming about is quietly overseeing a fighter's preparation. Out in the courtyard, Baek Hae-yeon, Korea's top 3 ace and daughter of a 7 hero, is putting in work. She dashes forward and unloads a bright golden Esper attack, aura swirling. But mid-strike, the energy snaps back on her, and Haeyeon's caught flat-footed, shock all over her face. Watching from above, Baek Jae-ho, one of the 7 heroes and her coach, notes she's training again. Baek Jae-ho calls down feedback. Her reaction time is good but not fast enough, and as an assistance dealer, she needs way more mobility and agility. Haeyeon keeps grinding while everyone jokes he's nagging again. Her Esper profile lays it out. Agility maxed at 90, speed almost capped at 94, focus 81, but strength stuck at 61, and stamina low at 59, with a special ability called Teleportation Rope. Seomon watches and mutters, even as Korea's ace she's showing real weak spots. Haeyeon spots him and asks if he was watching her train. Seomon starts to admit it, then backpedals, hesitating. He lifts himself off the ground on his own teleport energy, floating above her, and drops a cryptic line to Baek Jae-ho. The person down there isn't really Haeyeon. That leaves Baek Jae-ho baffled. Seomon clarifies that Haeyeon and someone else are fundamentally different, like there's a split he can see and they can't. Then he switches to coaching. He tells Haeyeon to use the whip to catch her opponent, hold them off balance, tie them up, and toss them to teammates. But catching isn't enough, he says. She has to finish them, and he draws a golden sword to show exactly how. Seomon whips the sword out at the training dummy, driving the swing with real force. Like this, he says. The moment you've caught them, he snaps the energy-infused whip strike home, and the target's locked up tight in it. Someone rips the golden sword through a whole line of dummies in one clean finishing slash, hangs in the air a beat, then lands and looks at Baek Hae-yeon. Got it? He asks. She hesitates, so Seomon doesn't wait for a real answer. He just hands down the warm-up. 500 sets of strength exercises to start. Baek Hae-yeon repeats it back in pure horror. 500 sets? And Seomon tacks on the kicker. She has 14 days to finish the whole thing. A few days in, and the difference is already brutal. Someone whistles at how fast she's leveled up, and her own body backs it up, muscle stacked on where there wasn't any. A bald trainer asks if it's really that big a jump, and she fires back a proud yes. Then she asks him to price it. How much is this improvement worth in cash? He names a number in the millions of dollars. That's what a single grade of improvement is worth, then lunges at the wall with a weapon, aura flaring, driving home just what that upgrade can actually do. From that grind, we drop straight into the Seomon International Battlefield Stadium, where the broadcast lights up the A-match everyone's waiting on, Korea versus the USA. The title card frames it as an event match tied to the returned hero Seomon Yup against American, then rolls out the Korean roster, supporter, distance, and proximity dealers, and tankers all named. The American lineup fills the board next, their own dealers, tankers, and supporter under the flag. Then Baek Hae-yeon flashes up on Korea's side as a proximity dealer. Across from her stands number 1, Gerald Walker, American's tanker. The commentators zero in on Baek Hae-yeon, curious how she'll do in her first match since switching positions. The dungeon loads in, an old burrower castle crawling with skeletons, officially named Marta Born's Palace. It runs 3 floors, each with its own boss. First floor holds a skeleton warrior, second floor a death knight, and the final floor waits with a Von Dragon and Lich. The rules window pops up and the Korean team locks into formation. This is a race to clear all 3 boss floors before the US side does. On the go signal, they push forward together as the minimap lights up Korea's positions against the US boss arena. The go signal drops and Korea charges straight into the skeletons packing the first floor, their leader out front pushing the pace. Their Esper carves a minion apart, and the system flashes the read they're betting everything on. The American team's mobility is slow, so the plan is speed. Weapon grip tight, the whole squad breaks into one coordinated dash, blowing through the fight instead of grinding it out. The announcer catches on and yelps, "Oh, but wait!" Then, what is going on? As Korea just keeps sprinting through the chaos. They tear straight past the skeletons in the second area too, and one of them calls it out. Keep running, don't stop, this is working. Up in the booth, Coach Baek Jae-ho, one of the 7 heroes, reads their plan out loud. They're racing to kill the boss first, going hyper-aggressive to farm a huge pile of hunting points. A few minutes in, the boss lights up on the dungeon map, and Baek Jae-ho warns that this skeleton could be the thing that throws a wrench in the whole American gamble. The system flags it. At this very moment, Team Korea reaches the boss and locks into the fight, the encounter that decides whether their aggressive rush pays off. Over on American side, Walker asks his scout Paulward if recon is done. Paulward reports Korea's already hunting the first floor boss and strategizing harder than usual. Walker hears that, reaches for his teammate, and says flatly he'll have to borrow their ability. Meanwhile, the boss rears up, eyes burning red. Korea presses the attack, shouting they've almost got him, and their leader barks for everyone to hold position and cover her for the finish. Baek Haeun lands the killing blow, striking the first floor boss down and clinching the kill Korea's whole strategy was built around. Then someone screams, "It's Walker!" And that borrowed ability turns out to be a very long knife, aimed straight at Korea's back. Walker's borrowed knife lands, and Baek Haeun, Korea's ace, dies right there in her Esper form, mid-swing on a boss she'd already won. Walker even gives her the credit, thinking hunting the boss first wasn't a bad call. Then his tone flips cold, but he drops the calm act entirely, teeth bared, and unleashes his real power straight into the rest of the Korean line. For a second, Korea actually pushes back and repels him, but Walker owns this first floor, and he throws them off him like they weigh nothing. Walker decides he's bored of it. He calls it time to wrap this up, and carves 1/clean through the whole cluster of them. Bodies go flying and falling. The last Korean armor cracks apart, and their player screams as it tears through him. The caster spells it out plainly. Korea lost the boss fight to American, and now they're just getting hunted down, minutes from a total wipe. American mops up the rest of the arena, and the scoreboard settles it. Set 1 goes to the USA, Korea 0. During the break, Korea trudges out again, and Baek Haeun steadies herself, thinking at least Uncle Yup helped prep them this time. Then a voice cuts in, and everyone turns. It's Samon, and he's oddly cheerful about their beatdown. He tells them to take his advice while he's still in a good mood. When they bristle, our boy just shrugs it off, saying he's only bothering because he figures he'll end up competing against them someday. Then he name drops the receipts. Marta Bourne's palace, a dungeon he and the current association director targeted together and cleared without much trouble. And with the same good mood, he tells them flat out that at their skill level, it'd be a miracle to even reach that far. Now say Moon teaches. No matter how badly you want that boss dead, he says, you check the enemy first or you eat a knife in the back exactly like they just did. And the rear line, if the front point collapses, has to be ready to cover it. That was the whole gap Walker walked through. His final verdict lands cold. The reason Korea keeps losing 11-0 isn't talent, it's that they don't even know the basics. Quick where we are. Samon died 17 years ago as the strongest Esper alive, came back not aged a day, and now he's trying to drag last place Korea back to the top by coaching a team of nobodies. Right now he's mid-match, still lecturing. He wraps his breakdown of the first set and tells them to lock in for the real point. Seomon points them into position to run his plan, and the match erupts as his Espers launch the coordinated attack he called, one unloading a massive energy blast while the others trade blows at full speed to break the enemy formation. Baek Haeun, Korea's ace, pulls the trick Seomon set up. She drops out of sight, then comes back in from a new angle, blitzing straight into a pack of enemies and pivoting mid-air to split them apart. Someone watches it land and smirks. "Good, you're doing good," he mutters, then adds the catch under his breath. This only works as long as they do exactly what he told them. Haeun feels it too. Eyes locked, she says they'll find an opening for sure. This time she starts energy climbing, but the enemy doesn't roll over. A massive skeleton boss erupts onto the field, and on Seomon's tactical display, the enemy shifts into a scout's boss formation. He reads it instantly, they change their whole game plan. And the guy running that new plan has one target in mind. Cold and set, he says he'll finally get to test his new combat style against the legend himself, Seomin Yup, and cuts loose with everything he's got. Haeun's side reels, what was that? As the enemy stacks power and hammers down a huge blast from above. She braces, gets hit clean, and the whole team scrambles back in shock. For a second it looks over, one of Haeun's people pinned to the ground under the blast. Then Samun changes the target entirely. They won't kill a single monster or boss. Instead, he points them at a hidden route. There's a secret passage, he says. The entrance just looks like plain wall, and he tells them exactly how to find it so nobody gets lost. That passage runs straight to the American team spot without ever being spotted. So he gives the order. All 11 of them sprint the route and strike the split American team where it's weakest, hoping to wipe them out before they can regroup. They tear through the passage, debris flying, and this time the ambush is theirs, the Americans caught cold as the two teams slam together in the tunnel. The American tanker plants his feet and readies his shield. Sure, nothing gets through him, but Seo-mun watches him take one hit and catches something everyone else missed. He says it out loud. This tanker is famous for never going down, so why do his legs look open? Then he answers his own question. The guy swapped to a smaller shield for more coverage, but he hasn't gotten used to the new gear yet. So Seo-mun calls it. Those two things flip the whole fight. Just trust him and follow the orders. His player barely gets out a quick thanks before moving. Walker answers for the Americans, leaping in with the ability he borrowed from a teammate, Focused Fire, and the boosted hit drops two of Korea's runners on the spot. That's when the American realized the ambush was never about their front line at all. Seo-mun had them aiming somewhere else from the very start. Two more Americans drop before they can regroup, and Korea's side of the scoreboard keeps climbing. Now the real target shows. The American supporters sitting at the rear, suddenly alone. Their forward party is too far out to come save him in time, and Seo-mun knew it. The scoreboard tells the story. It reads 3-8, and for the first time, all match Korea is the one climbing. The American with the big shield spins to block, but the hits keep coming from every side. One of them smirks that no team like this is a piece of cake, right before a wave slams him off his feet. A white energy blade tears across the arena, and a bigger American charges in furious, done playing careful. The two crash together head-on, and both come away hurt, sliding back battered from the collision. Then a whip of blue power snaps out and rocks the American back. He's tanking it well, but only just, because the Korean side keeps pressing with the one thing the American can't answer, their number advantage. And that number edge is exactly what Seo-mun engineered, turning 11 scattered players into one crushing wall. Korea's stunning comeback lands the win nobody in the arena saw coming. Then everyone's attention turns to the masked figure walking forward, the hidden ace who called every move. He speaks to his last opponent, calm as ever, noting how they suddenly switched combat styles as blue energy crackles up his legs. Then he steps in and ends it with a single clean strike. The last American throws his hands up too late, and Seo-mun's clean strike drops him. Then the masked ace just grins wide behind the visor, like all of this went exactly the way he wanted. The scoreboard flips and the arena loses it. Korea wiped out 5 American players and stole the win nobody bet on. Walker, the skilled player who never cracked the top 3, just stares in shock. Seo-mun turns to him, arms open, and tells him he kept his word. This is the match he told him to sign up for, and Walker just got a masterclass in it. Seo-mun settles into that calm, satisfied look, the lesson delivered in front of the whole world. Rewind to how bad it was. Set 1, Korea lost flat to American, 0-2, and the players slumped into their recovery pods looking wrecked. The commentators start breaking down the Korean run, and one of them can barely believe the numbers he's reading. They call it the match highlight, the moment Korea literally broke through a wall on their entrance, and they credit the whole turnaround to one player. Then the reveal lands. The ace of Team Korea scored all 5 of the team's 5 kills himself. Every single one was Seo-mun. With the win booked, the cameras swarm the press event. A reporter named Ji-hae grabs Baek Jae-ho, one of the 7 heroes now coaching Korea, and asks what he made of the match. Baek Jae-ho keeps it modest and says good results against a strong team like American give the players real motivation. But the room perks up when word spreads about the set 2 turnaround that Korea got outside help on their whole strategy. Off to the side, Seo-mun sits on the bench, arms spread, catching his breath now that his part in the match is done, while the noise builds around him. Then he spots someone approaching the stage and mutters a curse under his breath. He narrows his eyes, thinking he is obviously still trying to convince me. Up on stage, Baek Hae-yeon, Korea's top 3 ace and Baek Jae-ho's daughter, beams and waves. Hello everyone, I am Baek Hae-yeon. Someone watches the crowd rally around her and curses again, because now both of them, coach and daughter, keep steering the talk back to him. Why are they both talking about me? Then he shrugs it off cold. Who cares? It is the truth. An older man steps up beside him, amused, saying he still gets annoyed the second he's embarrassed. Someone blinks. What brings you here? The older man tells him to relax and let the others handle the spotlight, then admits he just came because he was feeling nostalgic about the old days. He remembers their old trick, hit and run on speed, since the enemy always ran heavier tanks, the exact play Seo-mun just used to gut American. And looking up at Baek Hae-yeon working the crowd, the old man says quietly that she found her calling. The old man beside Seo-mun brushes off the reveal about their old hit and run play, saying it's nothing new because it was his strategy all along. He tells Seo-mun he enjoyed seeing one of his own old plays finally used again. After all this time, the two of them squaring off in a tense standoff. Seo-mun snaps back that he won the bet, so what is the problem? But the old man drops the real reason he's here, and it's a plea. If Seo-mun turns him down this time, he swears he'll never ask him to play Battlefield ever again. The Korean Battlefield Pro League season is opening soon, and someone stands there in the middle of all the championship noise, waiting for the ask. So you want me to be a Pro League athlete? He says flatly. The old man waves it off. No, nothing that unreasonable, it's about players. Then he calls him Yup, and someone turns on him. What did you say, Yup? Are you losing your hearing, you old timer? The old man sighs that this guy always digs his heels in the second he doesn't want something. But Seo-mun admits, kind of grudgingly, that watching Baek Hae-yeon play made him a little curious. That's all the old man needs. Yes, that's the spirit, he cheers, throwing an arm around Seo-mun. He's Baek Jae-ho, one of the 7 heroes, moves, and he's practically bouncing. He fires off the numbers. The KRUSA match highlights cleared 11 million views in an hour. Someone rubs his neck and grumbles that Baek Jae-ho nearly took his head off. Disgustingly strong for an old dude. But he pumps the brakes too. He never said yes, he'll just think about it for now. Baek Jae-ho groans but takes the win. Of course, it's amazing you'll even entertain the idea. Seomun starts laying down terms. If he's playing this charity match, he's got conditions. Baek Jae-ho, staff in hand, presses him. Can't he see what this really is? And Seomun's mind goes quiet. He got a second chance at life. He hesitates on it, weighing what to do with it. Getting his head patted, Seomun says he wants to prepare a little before he competes again. He turns on Baek Jae-ho. Sure, he wants to play, but why is he getting dragged into this? It's been 17 years since he last fought. Then he catches himself, weapon in hand, grinning, on the edge of losing his mind with excitement despite every complaint he just made. Seomun reads Baek Jae-ho's stats cold. 17 years without training left him weaker across the board. But if the old man finds his footing again, those numbers climb right back. So Seomun makes it official. Starting tomorrow, he's dragging Baek Jae-ho into training hell. Baek Jae-ho's face drops in pure dread, and Seomun lays out his terms. 2 conditions. First, put him and Baek Haeun on the same team, even a virtual one, because he doesn't want to end up killing her. Seomun lays out his second condition too. Let Baek Jae-ho play on his team, and he's got a reason ready, telling the association that with 2 of the old 7 heroes on one squad, the sponsors will come running. That deal locks in, and it drops Seomun straight into training. A player in glasses admits his technique is trash, and he only wins on speed, sword up against a blue shield across from him. The dark-haired player grabs the glasses guy by the head, furious that he keeps fighting reckless when he clearly remembers how bad it went last time. Then he launches a blade of energy at him, and the shield snaps up to eat it. The 2 attacks collide and blow up between them, the blast forcing the shield player to abandon his ground. He leaps clear, green spikes flaring off his guard as he barely rides out the hit. They clash blade against shield in midair, testing each other's limits in this training bout, and the dark-haired one absorbs the hit and pours more power into his body. He drives the blade straight down with everything he's got, and the blast slams the shield player into the ground, his guard still holding. They land apart, and the glasses player just shrugs it off with a flat "it was okay," then folds forward gasping that he's tired. But the coach isn't hearing it. He barks that this was a warm-up compared to the old days, so quit whining and get up. Then he waves off all the excuses for a very serious reason. He's got a show to watch later, so hurry up and get in position. The dark-haired one just fumes that today he can't even catch it. From training, we cut to the testing floor, where a man steps up and introduces himself as Yoo Hyun-soo, technical team manager for the Korean Battlefield Association. He says he'll be running today's avatar test himself. Before anything starts, a purple-haired kid cuts in with a question, griping that they already finished all the tests last time. He snaps that he fought Walker, so what more do they even want? Yoo Hyun-soo coolly notes the kid's basically cosplaying as the Burrowers, the underground enemy that nearly wiped out humanity. The boy blanks, then fires up his avatar power on the spot to prove he's the real deal and doesn't need retesting. Now they get to the real point of the day, measuring everyone's raw power. Yoo Hyun-soo tells the next Esper, suited up in blue, to give it his all so they get a clean synchronization reading. So he cuts loose, energy explodes off him, light streaking through the chamber as his avatar starts taking shape. The avatar snaps into a full armored form, the shockwave rocking the whole test room as it holds the discharge steady. The meter beeps out a 9.13. His strength scores flash up as well, 3 straight numbers around 819. His profile fills in, strength 79, agility 76, that whole score pulled off the 79 strength. He just asks what's next. The instructor moves them right along to the agility test, pointing out 2 switches set on either side of him. The instructor tells Seomun the clock runs from the start signal to the end alarm, and our boy just says sure and takes off into the agility course. He rips up the vertical section and blows through the multi-direction turns without slowing down, posting an agility run so fast the officials watching just freeze in shock at the result. The system calls measurement concluded, and Seomun stops dead, calm as anything, and just asks what the score is. An official practically chokes on it, shouting he really cleared 97 in agility. Another notes he's fast enough to run with Baek Jae-ho at his absolute peak, and a 100 agility Esper is basically a unicorn. Someone realizes they recognize him, and explains Baek Jae-ho, one of the 7 heroes, sent over videos when the charity match got set up, so they already knew what was walking in. Seomun decides he wants another run, saying it's fun watching the number climb. He tells himself to focus, then pauses on a thought. For some reason, today his body feels different. He calls it he's in prime condition, and then he just detonates down the course so fast he cracks off a sonic boom on the way. The system logs it, and the room loses it, someone gasping that he's even faster than before. Measurement concluded. The final run ends, and the officials are done pretending to be composed, one of them just muttering, how can this be? But it's Seomun himself who's rattled, staring at his own result. Same score, he keeps repeating. Then how did I get the same score? Standing alone in the facility, he works it out and decides he'll just take the score as it stands, if that's what you want. Then he cuts loose again, aura ripping out with a speed effect, and an observer calls the new number 890, far past what he scored before. Now Seomun's profile locks in, and it stops everyone cold. Strength 79, agility 79, speed 76 pulled off it. No way, someone breathes, because those numbers shouldn't belong to a game they were quietly losing. And Seomun goes quiet, because he's felt this exact thing once before. Back then, he remembers, right at the edge of death, that's when it hit him. Facing death, he tells himself, was when he reached a superhuman focus, and that same feeling is what's moving through him now on the course. heroes. Quick catch-up, Seo-mun died a hero 17 years ago, came back not aged a day, and now he's clawing Korea back to the top of Battlefield 1 measurement at a time. Right now they're testing raw aura, and Seo-mun feels that old pull, thinking it's almost like something is shoving him back into the fight. The coach tells Seo-mun to lay his hands on the marble and pour in every drop of aura he's got. He channels it, aura wide open, and the block drinks it all in. The measurement finishes, and the tester's jaw drops as the orb lights up. An official just keeps saying my god, because the number that comes up is 1030. A young Esper asks whose score this even is, and the tester smirks and hits him with a thumbs up. Like, who do you think? Then the real punch lands. The old record was 1012, set by Xilan, one of the 7 heroes, and Seo-mun just blew past it. Samun insists he measured it properly, okay, while the whole crowd stares. Then the association drops the bad news. His own ability, Immortal, is banned from matches because of what it does. Seo-mun just shrugs and says fine, he'll still take the money they were going to pay him. He set the highest number ever recorded, and got told he can't use his best trick, all in one afternoon. But the legend spreading has a weird side effect. Somewhere, a crowd with red glowing devotion swears they'll be saved by that person, the only light left in the world, and one figure quietly tears a certificate in half like he's done waiting. Then they start chanting a name over and over, Seo-mun, as power flares up around him in their vision of him. To these people, the dead hero isn't a memory, he's a savior about to return. He squints at the mob and asks who these guys even are, not reporters, and someone tells him it's the Salmon Foundation. It clicks for him slowly. That's right, these were the same fanatics from back then. His face goes flat and cold as he realizes they're insane, chanting his name in his own face. Then he shifts into a battle stance, ready to confront them. A companion grabs at him. Hey, just let it go, what are you even going to do? Seo-mun leaps up anyway, expression pure fury, done being polite about it. The crowd keeps begging their hero for salvation until he snaps and screams at them to shut up. Are they deaf? They finally go silent, and he stands over them, saying, right, you're finally quiet. Then, real dry, that he fully understands how they feel about him. Then he drops the fake politeness and just tells them to stop the crap and get lost, calling them crazy bastards. Nothing says beloved dead savior like screaming at your worshippers to get a job in broad daylight. The crowd keeps whispering, worried their savior is shoving them away like something's wrong with him. Then they talk themselves back into it, nodding that no, he's just testing their faith, and start chanting a name into the night. Seo-mun turns his back on them, done, but they don't stop. They just keep chanting it, louder, Seo-mun yup, over and over, hammering his own name into his back. And that lands on him like a slap. He whips around, genuinely stunned to hear it, and mutters, what is wrong with these bastards? Up on a rooftop, Baekjae-ho, one of the 7 heroes, watches the whole mess unfold below. Down in the street, Seo-mun gives the crowd a countdown. Get out of my sight in 10 seconds or I start swinging. He actually cocks a fist to make good on it, and Baekjae-ho shouts wait, yup, but he's already moving. Baekjae-ho intercepts him to stop the attack, and the two collide, someone slammed backward as they trade blows in mid-air. Off to the side, an adult grills a crying kid about whether he'll keep following the savior, and the kid sobs out a no. The man in blue pats the kid's head, pat, while a guy in glasses watches without a word. Then the glasses guy calls the kid buddy, and the blue jacket guy just blinks, buddy, what? He points off down the street and tells him the actual crazy people are over there. The glasses man grimaces and grumbles that somebody needs to get beaten and sent running. Someone drops down through the city fast, and a voice trails after. The savior? The blue guy tells the glasses guy, yeah, I feel you. The two of them standing there together, right before a body slams into a building hard enough to cave it in. The fight's already reaching them, and someone's just been thrown. That crash pulls in a bigger crowd, and one of them gasps that it's really the American League star. Sure enough, a dark-skinned man in a white suit steps up beside a blonde woman and owns the name. The American League star, one of the world's heavy hitters, talks about how real talent is like gold nuggets you dig for. He clenches his fist and swears he missed 2 chances before, but this one he will not let slip. Then he pauses, as more suited figures step in behind him, reinforcements arriving to back his hunt for talent. One of them is Jake Rand, an Esper working as a European battlefield agent, striding in with a suitcase. Jake Rand stops over the blonde woman, and she looks up and clocks him by name. Elsewhere, another agent recognizes that the American League star himself has shown up indoors. 2 of these heavyweights square off in a power clash that has the whole crowd flinching. Turns out they're the Moro brothers, Jean and Philip, the twins who own the Paris Lumiere Battlefield Club. A bald man laughs and admits he'd wanted to meet the American League star back during the war, but never got the chance. All these top espers converging in one place, drawn like sharks to blood. A woman glares while a man mutters his refusal, and power crackles around Siolan, one of the 7 heroes, and the old record holder whose presence turns the gathering into a face-off. Fighters close in, and 2 of them slam together. The contest for the top spot already breaking into open blows. Zealan, one of the 7 heroes and the old record holder, sizes up the room like she's already picked her target. When someone asks why she even bothered showing up, she says it flat. She came to see a boy she knows. Outside, the venue is packed wall to wall, fireworks going off. One guy just gawking at the crowd. His buddy shrugs off the rough language, all confidence as he strolls the red carpet bit, telling him to relax and have some fun. Then the name Seomun Yup lands, and one man sizes him up with a sneer, asking why anybody's hyped about a guy like him. Seomun just smiles and thanks him for all the hard work, making him look presentable. The crowd catches sight of them and stampedes, screaming for Seomun Yup and Baekjeo, one of the 7 heroes. Baekjeo gets shoved mid-sentence, startled, barely gets his own name out before the mob swallows them. A purple-haired man frowns, wondering out loud why she would come here at all, realizing her presence signals trouble he wasn't expecting. Then it clicks. When Shilan says boy, he starts putting together who she means. He pushes out a burst of Esper power, the ones near him stepping back, and quietly wonders just how skilled Baekjeo really is. Somebody reclined nearby asks if they'll finally get to see it today. One of them leans in with news, and the other blinks, confused. Then comes the nervous question that freezes everything. She won't use her extinction ray on me, right? Someone else murmurs that 17 years have passed, so surely by now the two of them would have grown. 17 years ago, when the war was in full swing, we meet the woman they fear, Shiolen, one of the 7 heroes chosen to storm the last dungeon, raised like a queen on a golden throne at just 17. But behind the crown she got bullied. Some brute grabs her, screaming for her to move faster, calling her a sloth, demanding to know why she can't use her powers on command. He spits the cruelest line at her, that a headless chicken would use its abilities better than she can. The two of them stand there trembling, the insult crushing her worth as an Esper, as it hangs in the air. Back in the present, a man with glasses cuts it off, adjusting them and saying to save all that for later, they've got a more pressing matter right now. An official steps up to address the gathered crowd about how the charity's supposed to run. The official runs through the exhibition match rules, 2 teams total, and he lays out how it works. Baekjeo's card comes up first, a proximity dealer with a sword and teleportation. Then Seomun's card flips over with a simple hi, and the position reads tanker. Seomun tells his partner that since he's finally picked up a weapon, he hopes they'll take good care of him. Team Hope's captain Park Chulo rolls in laughing with a big thumbs up, and Seomun sizes up the whole squad without any warmth. He tells them straight that Baekjeo is probably 1,000 times better than any of them, even after 17 years away. He goes down the roster like a man reading a receipt. One guy's whole gift is a rope ability, grabbing an opponent from behind, and the rest, their stats and abilities just aren't anything special, and the team claps along like they know it. One of them just asks Seomun to please take care of them. Then Choihyuk's profile comes up, a small fast player, decent numbers across the board, agility in the 70s. His 2 abilities read out, focused aura, which pours his power into a held weapon, and reinforced durability, which shields his body from damage, and his max strength tops out at 90. Seomun flicks Choihyuk in the forehead twice, and the kid goes, huh? Me? Seomun just says, yeah, alright. Proximity, sizes him up in about 2 seconds, and Choihyuk can only answer, yes sir. Here's the thing Choihyuk doesn't even know. He already unlocked reinforced durability and has no clue. Seomun clocks it instantly. The other coach is confused, saying you're small and fast, how are you a tanker? Seomun tells him you can, and starts drilling it on the spot. Fix the shield to the left of your chest and only move your body. Choihyuk tries to protest that he's a dealer, not a tank, and gets shut down cold with a, are you talking back to me, you bastard? So there it is, he just reassigned a player he met 5 minutes ago. The rest of the team is more worried about something else, muttering, is it really okay we're on the same side as that guy? Seomun just stands there calm and asks if they're comforted enough. Then he turns to his own gear, the weapon they repaired for him, noting they fixed it up nicely and paid special attention to it, and grips it tight. The stadium screen lights up, Team Hope versus Team Love. The commentators watch the national side warm up and can already tell they're on another level. The analysts crunch it. The opposing team runs a skill average of 70, higher than Team Hope's 60s. But something's off, none of them are actually gifted, they're just relentlessly average across the board. Seomun's side scores off overall marks, so their whole plan is balanced, nobody a standout in any one thing. Baekhyun, the hero's daughter, studies one of them and mutters who the, spotting his focus sitting at a garbage 26. With the setup done, the match opens and an Esper cracks off a power straight away, someone sneering about whether he grew up spoiled by rich parents. That jab drags us right into the tension already brewing between 2 of the elite players. In a dim room, 2 men stand off after words already passed. The purple-haired Esper spits back, asking what a Burrower Wars veteran would even know, and challenging his right to butt in at all. That veteran is Roy, and the man he's snarling at is Nathan Bernard. Nathan says it plainly. Roy has a big problem with him. Roy confirms it, ripping into him for acting superior back in a previous A match. Roy, the veteran fighter, keeps digging into Nathan, saying he talks battlefield strategy like an expert when he's never actually played a real match. Nathan just laughs it off, so Roy warns him flat out he's going to get obliterated in the upcoming game. The system pings an attention alert as Nathan flips on his Esper ability, and Roy keeps needling him for looking like a total amateur. Nathan tells him to save it and head in, tossing out a mocking yuppie, but Roy grabs his arm and tells him to wait. Then the whole grudge flips. Roy opens up about his rough past and thanks Nathan, saying Nathan is the reason he pushed into Battlefield at all, despite everything he went through. Nathan, caught totally off guard, mutters bratty bastard in that annoyed way that means he actually cares. Whatever those two were, it wasn't just hate, and then the crowd takes takes over, chanting one name over and over. Seomanyop, Seomanyop. The announcer builds it up as the moment everyone's been waiting for, while the chants keep rolling. The briefing lands the stakes for the ear. This charity game isn't official, but the whole world is watching it anyway. On the formal stage, the owners of Paris Lumiere BC are introduced. The Moro twins standing together, while the agents work the floor below. The arena map goes up, 3 circular zones, with a secret passage down to a central basement. And at the heart of it sits the dungeon boss, a massive serpent roaring in Aza's spiraling cave. That serpent is what a full team is supposed to bring down. The coach raises his arms and lays out the starting spots. Team Hope drops into Zone 5, Team Love into Zone 1, opposite sides of the arena, and one player is already fired up before it begins. Xiaomin walks his squad through the plan. Team Hope will hunt Zones 5 to 1, 5 to 2, then 5 to 3. The main team holds base and they'll clear Zone 6 on the way. The players push back hard, saying nobody beats the serpent alone. You'd need at least 5. Even strong teams struggle. Xiaomin keeps going. After Zone 6, they take the passage into the smaller circle, and that's where they hit the enemy first. He names the 3 who hold that line when the teams collide: Nathan Bernard, Baekhaeon, and himself. One cocky player brags he'd win any straight 1v1 from the jump, and writes off Baek Jaeho as a coward who lost his nerve after his national team days. Xiaomin, thinking ahead, notes it's best 2 of 3 so they can watch the enemy first round and decide whether to test them. Then Xiaomin calls everyone to attention and orders them into their positions now. Baekhaeon takes rear main dealer, Baek Jaeho takes forward assist, and one player nearly loses it, Mia's tanker. Nobody's happy about the roll, but they move. The team pushes down a pitch black corridor when creatures overhead drop and swarm them from every side, hitting before anyone can lock into position. So the plan they just set is blown apart the moment the fight begins. Across the arena in Zone 1 to 1, Team Love's hunt kicks off at the same time, an Esper already swinging into a pack of purple creatures. Both sides are in the fight now. The creatures are all over the team, and Baekhaeon takes one look at the mess and panics, but only for a second. Then she plants her feet and lets her fire loose, blasting the pack back with a wall of heat. That's when the masked ice Esper singles her out, marking her as his target in this fight. He mocks her 7 heroes bloodline and flat out tells her she's dead meat. Baekhaeon doesn't flinch, she just fires back. What's so great about the 7 heroes anyway? Even as Seomanyup's own name hangs over the fight. So she answers him with everything she's got, wrapping her whole body in flame and hurling one explosive blast after another, trying to burn straight through his guard. But the masked man is built for exactly this. He throws up a thick ice barrier, and the harder her fire pushes, the more his armor swells and hardens against it. Then he stops defending and shoves back, riding a burst of ice up into the air while Baekhaeon drops out from under him. Up top, he screams out his own name like he's already won. Baekhaeon plunges through the field yelling, "I'm falling," and that's the moment Saemon's head snaps up. She shouts yep because he's coming in. Seomon spins into the masked Esper midair, one twisting strike that carries all the way up and clamps down on him with a flat gotcha. The ice Esper never had a chance to react. He drops back to the ground with the fight finished and the team erupts cheering. Their legend of a coach though just sits down clutching his back going, "Geez, my poor back." Barely a breath later, he's already pointing off across the arena asking if they should go clean up the other side too. No rest for these people. Over there, 2 of his players run a synced move, one raising a shield while the other readies a blade behind it. But the enemy's shell won't crack and the boy behind the shield realizes just swinging harder is pointless. He decides the guy doesn't even seem that strong and pushes in anyway, hitting fast and grabbing him with a surge of raw force. Then it clicks for him. That's right, he's using his Esper ability, as the enemy's whole defense is a power, and it snaps up a shield the second he shouts and blocks. Watching from the side, Seomon clocks the kid figuring it out on his own and mutters that he's already gotten better. Quick reset on where we are. Seomon died a hero 17 years ago, came back without aging a day, and now he's coaching Korea's team of overlooked misfits trying to claw their way back to the top. Right now, he's watching his squad push through a teamfight, and Baekhaeon, his top 3 ace, decides she's done playing support. She tells herself she can't just hang back in the background. So Baekhaeon lets her power off the leash, hurling her destructive dark purple Esper straight at the masked opponent across from her. The blow lands with massive force, and her enemy barely holds the line against it, neither side able to break the other yet. But the enemy answers with more force than she brought, and the exchange throws Baekhaeon backward through the air. She pushes in again anyway, and this time the full weight of that dark power lands square on her, and drops her. On the sideline, Seomon watches Baekhaeon get dropped with a lazy little grin, treating her defeat as entertainment, while a teammate lights up cheering that the enemy is winning. Then Seomon's own eyes narrow in on the fight, because now it's his turn to work. In his head, he walks through his move, the 100 centimeters throw, and how it fools people. At a glance, it just looks like an ordinary spear stab. The trick is the margin. Seomon thinks there can't be a single error in the throw and the catch, or the whole thing falls apart. It's a technique with zero room to be sloppy. The masked Esper barely registers the shock before Seomon is already on him with a spear, deciding he needs to wrap this up quickly. So he he opens up his full power, drives the throw clean through, and lands it perfectly, the enemy down before he even understands what killed him. With that side of the field cleared, the squad regroups and someone calls out good work to the team. Then a player reports the obvious problem. Seomun already sprinted off the second he finished with the arachne. From up ahead, Seomun radios back that he's clearing zone 5 to 3 as planned, and they'd better hurry and follow. One teammate sighs out a tired alright, and the group starts moving up to 5 to 2 to chase after him. Seomun reaches zone 5 to 3 first, right into whatever's waiting there. And what's waiting is a hulking armored esper that lunges with glowing claws and drops down at him swinging a staff. The armored thing roars, eyes burning yellow, and Seomun plants himself to meet it, actually calling it in with a flat "come at me." It obliges, hammering down with fast violent slashes, and for once Seomun gives ground, sliding low under the storm and bracing his shield to ride out the assault. Seomun and the armored esper crash together head on, and the shockwave from it throws him back hard. His face tightens under the strain, but he catches himself and gets his footing. He recovers and calls it out, dropping into a crouch as his gear builds around him, readying himself to answer the challenge before him. Then he says, steadying for the fight. Baek Jae-ho pulls Baek Haeun along with a quick follow me, and 3 of their players peel off from the beaten Seomun group to head straight for Team Love's hunt zone. On the way, one of them does the math out loud. They barely killed any arachne, so their hunt points are probably in the dirt. Another notes his aura's only blue, level 1 of 5, and wonders if the 110 mentality stat is dragging his power down. They realize they'll bump into Team Love any second. The plan is simple. If the leader isn't there, one of them assesses the field and calls the shots on the spot. But Team Love's captain, Shea Woo-hyun, is already ready for them. He barks a switch to a 5 to 6 formation, then rallies everyone with a sharp love out, and they charge. Both sides slam into close combat, bodies tumbling, hits landing everywhere as the arachne get caught in the crossfire, and one esper blows a spider apart with fire. That's when a Team Love player named Shim Young-soo lights up, flame roaring off him, while Seomun calmly tells his crew to keep pushing forward. Shim Young-soo has other ideas. At this level, even Seomun Yup goes down in one blast, he grins, and lets a huge blue spear fly. Baek Haeun's head snaps around. That spear is, she starts, her eye flashing as it clicks. It's an ambush, the whole enemy team lying in wait, and the attack's already screaming in. Saman braces as the strike bears down, and then he's just there, arriving to meet it before it lands. He tears through the ambushers with fast sword work, cutting off angles and taking control of the space. When the return fire comes, he throws up a huge barrier and plants himself and his teammate behind it to ride out the pressure. His face goes cold and focused, already reading the next move. He sends one player looping the long way around to hit the enemy from the opposite side, then grins at the rest. These are national team players, so it won't be easy, he tells them, but push it till the very end. And that flanking play cracks their formation wide open. An enemy gets launched clean off his feet, tumbling through the air, and lands with pure shock on his face from the sheer force of the blow, one of the national team players taken out of the fight. Nathan just shrugs it off like he barely tried, insisting there was nothing casual about it while flatly denying he's lying. An enemy player mocks Samon mid-fight, telling the old man it's not exactly mature to go all out against kids from the start. Then the massive blast Samon already set up catches him and launches him off his feet. The guy tumbles through the air and gets thrown clean out of the energy zone, dropping toward the ground. Simon isn't done. He winds up a second attack and calls it out. One more time, here it comes. An enemy tries to answer with a counter blast of his own, but the two attacks smash together, and the enemy is the one who eats the aftermath, losing the exchange and taking the hit that puts Seomun in control. The enemy captain reads it wrong. He screams for everyone to defend Shim Young-soo, sure that's who they're hunting, and shouts a warning to Shim Young-soo to be careful. Then it clicks for him too late. They were never going for Shim Young-soo. They are going for the tankers. The enemy leader snaps out a new order. Catch the coach first, meaning Baek Jae-ho. Walker, the skilled competitor, throws up his shield and the enemy's big attack slams into it, but he refuses to fold, yelling at his side to keep hitting and not stop. He tells his teammate the plan out loud. They have to end this before the enemy's ability comes off cooldown. An axe user and his squad line up for a coordinated strike to bring her down, but Baek Haeun meets them head on, unleashing an attack and weaving clean through their group swing so their trap catches nothing but air. Someone lets loose a wide area attack and Baek Haeun just flips right over it, dodging the whole thing. Then Seomun crashes shield to shield with an enemy, shrugs it off with a lazy yeah whatever, and calls it every single tanker on the other team is down. His team clocks the new math, asking if it's 3-on-3 now. Seomun lays out the finish. We each pick a bastard to fight. The announcers eat it up, praising the clever connective play and the clean escape the team pulled off right after. Then comes the shot they can't stop replaying. Seomun's spear draws his first blood, the legend's historical first strike landing exactly where he wanted it. And here's the trick behind it. Seomun carefully managed the speed and distance of that spear throw to stop the player attacking Baek Jae-ho, using his own coach as ammunition. Then he winds up and throws Baek Jae-ho a second time, while Baek Haeun watches the incoming hit with pure shock on her face. The enemy tanker isn't done, powering up and blasting purple energy straight at Baek Haeun. She can barely believe it, whispering impossible as he winds up his spinning blades. He slams into Baek Haeun, sneering, "Do you not have any complaints now?" But Seomun is already there, firing back and burying a heavy blow into the guy before he can gloat. The scoreboard tells the story. Baek Jae-ho 3 kills, Seomun 2, and the white-jacketed side just stares. One of them chokes out. All 5 were eliminated. Choi Hyuk, the durability guy, soaking up hits, grits through the pain and keeps his shield up. He's playing it safe, safe, popping out to strike, then ducking back behind the shield. An enemy spots the pattern and lunges at the opening, but he's baffled. What's with this bastard? He was supposed to be a hastily prepared tanker. He never gets his block up in time before he's knocked flying. The system calls it Seomun-yup, 3 kills. He carves down the last of them with 1 clean strike. Seomun turns to Choi-hyuk, who held the defense while injured, and gives him credit. You managed well, Choi-hyuk. Leave the rest to us, waving him back so the others can finish the offense. Our boy grins, eyes narrow, and calls it, we can move on to the next match. The screen confirms it. Set 1, Team Hope wins 8-0. With the set sealed, the spotlight lands on Baek Jae-ho back in the locker room. Fans want him playing every match, and he laughs it off, embarrassed to be out there at his age, but admits swinging a weapon after 17 years was actually fun. Then Baek Jae-ho drops the real reason for the comeback, plain as day. It was because I was with Yo. The coach behind him just breathes out. It finally clicking, comes back. Next up, the gates open on a new stage, the Labyrinth of the Damned, a dungeon that swallowed plenty of espers before Seomun-yup ever set foot in it. Both teams file in. 2 players lock eyes across the field, and Seomun's mind drifts back to his return. He remembers the crowds who worshipped him like a god, screaming savior at him. He knows what most of them really want though. They either doubt everything he's done, or they're itching to test him. Case in point, Baek Jae-ho relays the jab. Walker called him the weak link of the 7 heroes, not worth 1 punch. Fresh off Walker's insult, Seomun powers up, energy wrapping his armor, and just says, right, I'll show you. Across the field, the masked team leader runs a last briefing, laying out the map with Team Hope and Team Love zones marked so nobody gets lost in the labyrinth. He turns to his best map reader and says nobody knows this place better, so he's counting on him, just don't overdo it. Someone already reads the enemy's route, calling it obvious where they're headed, and quietly triggers a huge power surge across the arena to meet them. Up in the stands, Baek Jae-ho's kid asks if sending Uncle Yup in alone is really safe. Baek Jae-ho grins, saying sure, Uncle Yup looks like a couch potato who watches TV all day, but there's more to him. The kid gets it, deciding Uncle Yup really is amazing, and asks if he's got a plan. He does. Seomun charges upward at full speed and slams into a pack of skeleton-masked opponents, blasting through them in one burst. But the skeletons steady themselves and shrug it off. Seomun barely gets out a whew before their counterattack fires straight back and knocks him clean down. He's falling now, a skeleton chasing him down, and he blocks its strike mid-air, buying himself the opening he needed. Then a smirk spreads across his face. Simon unloads everything, catching the skeleton airborne with a full power strike and smiling as the hit lands and drives it off him. But the fight leaves him plummeting through open air, shield up, until he crashes into floating debris and starts tumbling straight down. Here's the trap. In the labyrinth, gravity is 10 times stronger wherever there's no floor, so anyone not used to it can just fall to their death in the maze. But Salmon flips it. He hauls his shield up mid-fall and fires an explosive upward slash to redirect himself, and done right, the technique rockets him through the corridor. He swings through the air on shield and blade, launching forward, and grins as it clicks that killer gravity is actually a huge shortcut through the maze. Barely 10 minutes into the match, and an enemy player pops up right in front of someone's team through a shortcut, and the whole squad freezes. One of them says out loud what everyone's thinking, that there's no way the opponent found them this fast. The enemy just grins and tells his own team he already read the rival squad during the first match, so he knows exactly how they move. He channels his power and stands ready, sneering that they're all lousy players. Team Love's captain, Shea Woo-hyun, doesn't take the bait. He calls a full retreat, telling his people not to panic and to regroup somewhere safer, and his team pulls back fast and clean. But the enemy chases them down solo, cocky as ever, thinking if they just fought him head-on right here, the match would already be over. Staff in hand, he starts picking through the fleeing players, ruling them out one by one, until he locks onto the one he wants. Except the target he got turns and blasts him instead. The enemy takes the hit dead on and curses as the kill notice drops. Seomun-yup, 1 kill. Someone already ran the math. He knew the guy's agility, 51 out of 54, meant he couldn't dodge that shot, so he threw the spear knowing it would land. He notes he can't get the spear back, but figures his 3 remaining ones are plenty, then clocks that the rest of the enemy team already bolted. So Salmon calls his own team in, marking a spot for everyone to regroup, and his squad gathers up in a tight circle. Then Seomun peels off to higher ground and just stands there staring at nothing. The broadcast booth loses it, and the caster narrates that Seomun-yup has climbed to a high perch and is standing dead still, eyes on empty air. But he isn't zoning out. Up on the ledge, he's clocking that this is a solid regroup spot after a retreat, and running the clock on how much time has passed and how far the enemy could have moved. He smirks. 50-50 chance, no harm in trying. And with that, Seomun fires a massive blast straight up into the air, betting the enemy is right where his math says they are. But the enemy was exactly where he predicted, and their counterblast slams down and blows Seomun clean off his feet. His gamble backfires as the 2 attacks lock and grind into a full-on power struggle he's now losing ground in. The energy tears straight through a building and detonates, one strike stacking into cascading explosions that swallow the whole area. When the smoke clears, 3 espers are left standing in the wreckage, Seomun and Walker among them. And Seomun roars and lets loose another another blast to finish the exchange. Quick catch-up, Seomun Yup, the strongest Esper who died saving the world 17 years ago, is back and grinding through battlefield matches to drag last place Korea to the top. Right now, he's alone against a whole enemy team, and they still have no idea what they walked into. Someone spins up a huge Esper construct, a massive circle of intricate energy, and drops his power name, Duan. He fires it down and wipes out 2 opponents at once. The scoreboard just reads Seomun Yup 2 kills. On the enemy side, Shim Young-soo, one of their players, snaps and yells to stop retreating and just fight him. A senior teammate grabs him and tells him to calm down, warning that charging in only splits their power apart. Seomun looks down at the whole squad and calls them a bunch of cowards. That lands hard, and Young-soo loses it, deciding he'll just roast this guy with his own Esper ability. His senior begs him not to, but Seomun just raises an eyebrow and goads him. Or what? Young-soo drops into a wide stance and accuses Seomun of hiding, then a blonde teammate launches a fire attack alongside him. Seomun throws up a massive barrier and eats the whole attack head-on, no problem. Then he mocks them for expecting that to work, saying their acting sucks and they should take classes, before leaping away clean as they scramble to stop him. The team watches him escape, stunned that he blocked their combined ability that easily. Still, they know Young-soo's own power held its own, aura and all, strong enough for the big leagues. So they lock in a plan. Catch Seomun first, split into 2 teams, 6 hunt him down. 3 of those are pure dealers assigned straight to him. The strategist orders the dealers to take the western path, fake a scouting approach, then hit Seomun from behind, betting not even he can face 3 at once. A spiky-haired player swears they'll join in and take him down together. Team Love charges across the arena after Seomun sprinting in with weapons drawn, the commentary already doubting he'll go down that easy. Seomun just sighs that he's really disappointed, then erupts with a counter that pins a Team Love Esper against a barrier. His power swallows the arena and traps the whole ambush. One of them barely reacts in time and blocks, drawing a nod from the casters for the speed. Seomun stands calm in the middle of it all, completely unbothered. All 3 Team Love dealers come at Seomun at once. Betting numbers will do what one Esper can't. The blue-haired one grins that he's the perfect prey. The scoreboard already reads 3 kills for Seomun, and he isn't slowing down. He winds up his 100 centimeters throw and buries it into one of the dealers, the hit ringing across the arena. His power detonates through the ambush, and one after another the Team Love Espers get flung back screaming before they ever land a hit. The scoreboard flips to 5 kills. Human just stands there in the middle of the wrecked arena, calm, sure of himself, not a scratch on him. The casters lose it, blurting that he wiped 3 national players in under a minute. Someone throws out the old question, who's the best Battlefield player right now? And after this and the Walker match, they say they finally have their answer. One of them says it quiet, half in disbelief. He's really back? Seomun drops into a lazy crouch like the fight already bored him, and a teammate calls his name in alarm as another surge of his power keeps roaring through the arena, a sign he's about to end things whether they're ready or not. A massive beam tears the whole floor apart, and something huge comes down with it, ending the match on Seomun's terms. New match, and a fresh challenger walks in. His team greets him, he says he came as fast as he could, then tells them not to panic and to spread out. The enemy grins that they must have prepped something special for him, and starts darting between the team members, fast and loose, testing them. He rushes in close as the team closes with weapons up, and they collide. Then the team traps him inside a tight circle, cutting off his escape so he can't break free without going through them. He reads the ring instantly, thinking whoever breaks it first to attack has to be the one with real mobility, and marks that as his target. Then he unloads a heavy downward strike, coolly clocking the ability behind it, agility spiking past 102, and speed cranked up, filing it away as a genuinely good Esper he'll have to respect. Chae Woo-hyun sets his shield and trident and mutters, "Let's see," before swinging with everything he's got. The hit lands so hard, the 2 Espers caught in it just stand there shaking, one of them breathing out that was insane. His profile flashes up, strength maxed at 88, agility, speed, focus all solid. But the read on him is blunt. His skill isn't bad, the ability itself is lackluster, and plenty of overseas players carry aura over 80 that he can't match. Chae Woo-hyun tells Shim Young-soo he'll handle things here somehow, while Baek Jae-ho briefs Baek Hae-on, the hero's daughter, on the side. Then Chae Woo-hyun takes a hit and staggers back, flinching from the wound. Roy, the veteran fighter, barks at him to not come any closer, and Chae Woo-hyun pulls back, but Roy dashes in fast, so Chae Woo-hyun swings his shield around and cracks him with it, the 2 of them trading momentum blow for blow. Chae Woo-hyun unloads a blue blast that drives Roy backward, his feet skidding as he's forced to give ground and lose the upper hand, while the announcers lose it over the exchange. Then Seomun stands there in his blue armor, watching it all as the crowd murmurs his name. The players spot a drone camera buzzing overhead, and one explains it records while it flies, and pipes the footage straight to the arena screens. Seomun just stands ready across from his opponent. His opponent tries to bolt, so Seomun drags him along in the chase, the guy protesting that this is supposed to be fun and asking where they're even going. They blow past the crowd fast enough to snap every head around. After it wraps, a reporter moves in and turns first to Baek Jae-ho, asking who the MVP of set 1 was. Baek Jae-ho, one of the 7 heroes, admits he never expected to do this well today, not at all. He says they were forced to join because of Seomun's stubbornness, that the training was rushed and they got lucky. Then the reporter turns to Seomun and asks if he expected an all-kill in set 2, and Seomun says yes, flatly. Seomun doesn't soften it. He calls the coach incompetent for failing to read his own player's potential, says the leader's eye was lacking, and flat out declares the team's level rock bottom. He adds that he doesn't feel inclined to bother with them. But then, quieter, he says that depending depending on how things go, that might change. So after wrecking Korea's team on air and calling their coach incompetent, Someone should be done with them. But now he's eyeing the money side of it, chasing a new idea entirely. Not just playing Battlefield, but turning it into a paid venture of his own. Bok Jae-ho, one of the 7 heroes, is driving, and the guy riding with him notices the route's wrong. He asks where they're going, says this isn't the way home, and points out Haeun isn't even with them. Then Seo-mun calls Baek Jae-ho out. For once, the old coach didn't turn something down, and Seo-mun's suspicious, because he'd sworn Baek Jae-ho had no interest in Battlefield at all. Seo-mun thinks back to Baek Jae-ho's old lesson. Don't waste your Esper powers when you're hunting. He figured he understood the man well enough, since he'd watched and listened to him teach for years. But fighting today cracked something open. Seo-mun tells Baek Jae-ho straight up that there's nobody left in this country who can actually teach techniques the way it should be done. And then he asked Baek Jae-ho to become his coach. So Seo-mun asks Baek Jae-ho to coach with him, and once the answer comes, he just says, fine, tell me. And Baek Jae-ho starts laying out exactly how you build a real team. Recruit Choi Hyuk, the durable one, as the tank Baek Jae-ho says, and use Yoo Byul-ho for the finishing blow. Seo-mun cuts in that Yoo Byul-ho can't even handle his own speed. So Baek Jae-ho's answer is blunt, get rid of the vice president's son. Seo-mun asks who that is. Shim Young-soo. And here's the catch, because Baek Jae-ho admits the numbers don't justify cutting him. Young-soo's firepower and aura are the highest on the whole team. Seo-mun pushes back. Then why keep a guy with the focus of a kid, the one who lost Team Love the match? Baek Jae-ho concedes the point, but won't dump him completely. Wasting that ability, he says, though you can't use him until he fixes his focus. Then Baek Jae-ho makes a call to loop in the association president, because rebuilding this roster means going straight to the top. And that's the thing about a legend coming back from the dead. Word gets out fast. Officials pour into a meeting room, and the whole Battlefield world starts circling Seo-mun before he's even settled on a plan. One official announces he's going to see the president himself. Then the room's murmur rises, someone spots who just walked in, and the name spreads like a shock. Seo-mun, yup, he's finally here. A man steps between Seo-mun and the crowd, telling people to approach in due time as he cuts a path through. A woman turns, caught off guard, and it's Baek Haeun. A bearded recruiter tells her not to be so tense. He's dealt with Seo-mun before, he says, took a player from him once, and then his voice softens, because he gets what nobody else does. Living 17 years in another man's shoes, losing all that time. The recruiter slides Seo-mun a business card. If he ever gets the itch to play, just call. Seo-mun barely gives him anything back. Just, I'll think about it. Then the foreign recruiters get nosy. They can't figure out how his English is this sharp when he quit school at 13 to go hunt dungeons. A man who dropped out to fight monsters at 13, casually multilingual. Word cuts across the room that Jake Rand, the European Battlefield agent, has already left, and someone reacts like they got hit. Excuse us, what? The scramble to grab Seo-mun is turning into a stampede. Seo-mun reads them instantly. Then you must have come to try and recruit me, he says. Then flatly waves it off. Not at all. A bald recruiter sweeps in on Baek Haeun with a theatrical hand and a big mademoiselle, telling her someone wants to recruit her too. She laughs it off with a polite thank you and merci, and the offers just keep piling up, pension deals and scouting pitches from every direction. One recruiter leans in with the big pitch, telling Seo-mun he'd have amazing synergy with their star player if they teamed up. Seo-mun waves it off flat. If he ever feels like actually playing, he'll consider it. They immediately promise the highest contract on the table. Another guy tries to peel him away for a private talk over vodka, using the excuse that Uncle Yop looks tired. Then a new suit steps in and introduces himself as Yang Min-young from the secretarial section of the Blue House, meaning the recruiters now include the government itself, raising the stakes on landing So-min. Seo-mun looks lost as the man brings up the Esper meritorious system, the plan once the Burrowers' War ends. Then Yang Min-yang gets to the point. They want to hand him the pension he never received for the last 17 years. Then the number lands, 2.5 billion won and change. Seo-mun repeats it, dead flat, 2.5 billion, you say. He starts quietly doing math, stacking the committee reward on top of the money walker the skilled competitor sent him. Baek Haeun catches him at it and asks what on earth Uncle Yop is up to now. Caught mid-calculation, Seo-mun stammers an excuse, and starts to say something. Behind him, a tall man in a suit has been quietly watching from under the ceiling. Seo-mun turns on the tall stranger, done for the night. Are you trying to scout me too? I'm tired, leave while I'm still being nice. The man starts to protest, but Seo-mun's already softening, reassuring him that whatever's troubling him will sort itself out in time. It's Seo-mun steadying a stranger's worry rather than snapping at him. In time, Seo-mun says, you'll find places you like, people you can trust, and a new goal to chase. The tall man just holds out his card. Agent, the American League star. Then Seo-mun snaps back to himself and quietly wonders if he just spewed a bunch of nonsense at a total stranger. Someone nearby asks what the guy even does. Turns out the American League star is a huge name in the American Major League, nicknamed Money Ghost, a player who got obscenely rich off Battlefield. Seo-mun blinks, really? Baek Haeun quietly remembers how someone once tried to recruit her father with a giant payout too, long ago. Then Seo-mun gets called up on stage to applause. Up on stage, they confirm he donated the most of anyone anyone in the room. A gray-haired man explains that he and Bak Choho, one of the 7 heroes, handle donating all the funds exactly as Seomun wished. Seomun smiles wide, letting on he was in on the arrangement, then drops it plainly. That 2.5 billion pension owed to him is going to be paid. The room laughs and buzzes as he keeps going into the mic, finishing the line about all of his assets. Then he says the real thing. 17 years have passed since he gave away everything he owned, and people keep praising it, calling his sacrifice noble. Still up at the mic, Seomun finally drops the noble hero act and tells the room the truth. The only reason he fought all those years was that he liked dungeons. That's it. No sacrifice, no destiny, just a man who loved the fight. He goes further than anyone expected. Sometimes he admits he even wished the burrowers wouldn't lose, because losing them meant the fun was over. The room goes quiet fast. His fist tightens as he says it, like part of him still misses that world. Then the announcer swoops in to smooth it over, thanks Mr. Seomun Yup for the great message, and hurries the next suited guest on stage to the applause. Somewhere else entirely, a pink-haired man is slouched all over a brown-haired friend, insisting he's actually a good person, and his rough childhood is what made him this way. The friend isn't buying it, and asks how he can talk like that, when he's the senior to all these younger players. The brown-haired man drops the small talk and gets to why he really came. He wants to know if the pink-haired man will join up. The pink-haired man just grins and says there's something he wants to try. He wants to be a club owner. A black-haired man beside him nearly chokes, wanting to know where this came from all of a sudden. The pink-haired man plays sentimental, saying watching the national team play so badly broke his heart as a fellow Korean. Nobody believes the Patriot bit. One of them points out even the bottom KBI league team costs 20 billion. So what's the real angle? And there it is. He plans to buy a cheap second-tier league team, rank it up, and multiply his money off it. That answer earns him a punch to the face inside the car, and he just laughs through it, manic and unbothered while the beating keeps going. The driver cuts it short, says they've arrived, and tells him to get out. A purple-haired man steps out of the car while a man with glasses stays inside, asking what's going on. Ahead, a woman in a black suit waits alone in the shadows, and the sight of her jolts him with alarm while she stays coldly impassive. Someone he clearly wasn't expecting to face here. He asks again what she wants, and she just trails off. He can't read her at all, and that unsettles him, because he remembers her wearing every feeling right on her face. Then he sees why she feels different. This is Shilan, one of the 7 heroes and the old record holder, and her stats have climbed far past what he remembers. Way stronger than before, he thinks, and asks her straight, "Did you come here to kill me?" Elsewhere in an outdoor courtyard, Seomun stands facing Baek Haeon, the top 3 ace, and his questions come cold. Who gave permission, and why did she come here? She stares back, jaw set, and says nothing. By dusk, Baek Jae-ho pulls Seomun aside in the compound, uneasy, asking what the deal is with that kid, and the kid herself has crumpled somewhere quiet, all her toughness gone, whispering that she just wants to go home. Then something in Baek Haeon snaps loose. Her eye flares, the ground starts to rumble, and a massive entity tears up out of her power until she's tiny beneath it. The release is so violent it throws her clean off her feet. Baek Haeon is still buried under her own runaway power, and she pushes herself anyway, thinking she has to fire her extinction ray before it's too late. But her body just gives out. She admits she's too drained to hold it, and the whole thing starts collapsing on top of her. Then Seomun Yup catches her from behind before she collapses, keeping her from hitting the ground as her power fails, and her breath snags on a startled little huh. It's Seomun holding her steady. All that toughness melts, and she just stares up at him, barely getting the words out. "You are really back." Somewhere else entirely, a man in a white shirt sits across from a pink-haired schemer, sniffing around for a club to buy. He tests him. "You actually want in? Then say the word." He lays out how the KB7 League works. 7 players a team, and the winning team gets promoted up to the KB League. Buy a KB7 club, win, and you climb. The buyer's whole face lights up. Whatever hesitation he was faking drops, and he blurts out, "That's great," clutching the paperwork like it might run off. They shake on it, and the deal is done. The masked man now owns himself a shot at promotion, which is exactly where our boy comes in, because the club in question is the Hanjung Industry team, and the crowd is already roaring as they pile onto the transport bus, pumping fists, chanting, "Let's do this, Hanjung." One of the players squints at a guy sitting there wrapped up head to toe and mutters, "What's the deal with that one? Why is he all covered up?" That covered guy is Seomun, scouting his new team incognito. He sighs to himself, already low on hope. The national team was a disaster, so the secondary league is probably even worse. He pulls up the opponent's power stats and starts grading them out loud, cold as anything. Lousy, lousy, average, lousy. Then a profile stops him. Namgung Ji-hoon, a supporter whose special ability is protection, wrapping himself and teammates in a thin shield of aura. Seomun likes what he sees and just nods him through. "Okay, you're in." Next up is No Jungwan, strength maxing at 82, agility already capped. Seomun checks the numbers and rates his ceiling right up there with national player Chae Woo-yeon, so he waves him in too. Then the well runs dry. The rest of the roster is junk, and he mutters that maybe he should just be grateful he found 2. One last profile makes him do a double take. Lee Naeon, strength a tiny capped 48, but her special ability is jump, and she can launch herself a full 20 meters. Someone's reaction is dry. What is she, a flea? He looks over the whole assembled squad, then at the scoreboard where Hanyoung is getting absolutely buried. Not much to work with, but a small smile creeps in anyway, and he makes up his mind, "Yeah, I'll buy Hanjung Industry." So Seomun shakes hands with the club official, promising to build the ultimate team out of these misfits. The official clasps his hand firm and trusts him to actually do it. The deal goes through, and Seomun gets the official notice. He's now the owner of a KB2 pro team. The club official congratulates him and asks the obvious question: how exactly is he planning to run this place? Someone waves it off with a simple "leave the management to me" and walks off like he's already done thinking about it. Then his Esper power flares up. His powers backfire as he tears across the facility at full speed and slams straight into something at the far end. His first act as owner, ending in a crash he can't control. A staffer in teal takes the hit and both of them jump back, blurting apologies. The guy in black rattles off birth years to sort out who's older, born in 76 versus 80, and confirms the other man is younger. Now settled in as coach, Seoman tours the place. He already knew the roster was small before he took the job, and the equipment's ancient, but at least it works. The teal staffer leads him into the last stop, the big training arena stacked with modules. Seoman counts them and asks flat out, only 11? The staffer explains the modules cost a fortune, and they barely scrape together 11, all reserved for the key players. Seoman quietly sizes the guy up. Not amazing, but he's got recovery and inspire abilities, so not the worst coach to have around. Then Seoman announces he wants to meet the players, right now. The staffer blinks at the timing, but Seoman just repeats it and demands specific names get brought to him. First up, he asks a player if they've heard the news about the new coach. Baekhyun turns around and reacts with surprise at who's standing there. Seoman looks Baekhyun over and deadpans that she's tiny, just like a flea. Then his eyes drop to her hands, and he notes she's clearly been practicing with the bow lately. He introduces himself, "I'm Somun-yeop," and says he could tell from the calluses on her hands. Then he cuts right to what's eating her. No matter how hard she trains, her skills just won't climb. He tells her plainly she lacks technique. Baekhyun stands there small and stunned, not sure what's happening. He says it again, softer, "You train and the numbers barely move, right?" And she finally admits it. "Yeah, I guess I'm hopeless." Someone just smiles. He reminds her of the promise he already made, that he'd turn her into a key player, and tells her he sees one specific skill she can build everything on. Quick catch-up. Seoman-yeop, the legend who died 17 years ago and hasn't aged a day, has taken over as coach of a last-place Korean team, and he's decided he can build champions out of players everyone else wrote off. First up is Baekhyun, and his whole plan for her is one word: running. He lays out the tactic plainly. She uses her raw speed to harass the enemy team, darting in and out so they can never focus on their hunt. They can't ignore her, but they can never quite catch her either. Baekhyun asks the real question: if she pulls this off, can she actually become a key player? And Soman says of course. Then he watches Lee Nayeon, a KB7 player with insane jump and speed, and mutters, "Are you actually a flea?" as she bounces around. Next up, a scrawny guy walks in and introduces himself as a supporter, Namgung Ji-hoon. He looks Seomun up and down and can't help himself. This is the skinniest Esper he's ever seen in his life. Seomun just gives a small smile, then sits down alone and quietly clenches his fist, already sizing up what to do with this kid. Then he drops it on him flat. "You're no longer a supporter." Namgung Ji-hoon goes, "What?" He insists he's definitely a supporter. The coach must be mistaken and calls him a bastard for good measure. Namgung Ji-hoon demands to know why he got called in, just to be told he's not what he is. Then Soman pulls up his stats: protection ability, decent speed and focus, and Namgung realizes with a jolt he's the target here. "What, me?" Seomun powers up and tells him he isn't just talking, he means it, and steps toward him like a demonstration is coming. But instead of a lecture, he opens with an apology: "Sorry, but I fell asleep during your matches." Then he sits back on the couch and says a supporter isn't a pathetic role at all. He explains supporters carry the team more than anyone, but out of every 10 points, he points upward. 1 in 10 comes from somewhere else entirely. He faces Namgung Ji-hoon and gets to the point. "You only have a protection ability, right?" Namgung says yes. So Somun offers to expand his limited defensive power with a second ability, giving him a way to do more than just shield. Namgung lights up at the idea, then Somun spells out what he's building him into. A proximity dealer with a support ability, you idiot. Namgung's whole face short circuits. Seomun apologizes again, powers up around his hands, and back at a convenience store, he pats the shaken kid on the back like it's all settled. Namgung Ji-hoon asks if doing this will really let him succeed, and Somun says yes. So Namgung pushes back. What if he just wants to stay a supporter instead? He walks off through the building with his gear slung over his shoulder, face gone dead serious as he weighs whether to reinvent himself as a dealer or stay the supporter he already is. Seomun's already 3 moves ahead. He tells someone to find him a coach who really knows how to use a sword. When they point out the kid is a supporter, he just says he has a reason and walks off with a hand in his pocket. Seomun's sitting there lost in his own head, and Baekhy Jae-ho, one of the 7 heroes coaching the team, notices. He asks what's got him so deep in thought, says it's not like him. Someone points at the dead TV screen and brings up Han Jung, then asks the real thing on his mind. Shouldn't they be getting more players on this team? He wants to recruit, and he already has a plan to spread the word fast. Standing at the window, he says he just so happens to have a whole bunch of loudspeakers right here, meaning he'll use them to draw in new players. Sure enough, a crowd jolts as the loudspeakers blast out. Seomun gets on the phone and pitches recruiting new players. The guy on the other end agrees but pushes back on budget. They don't have the money for a big search. Seomun cuts through it and orders the recruitment ad posted. He wants it up for just 3 days. The other guy questions that, says 3 days is way too short. The second league barely gets applicants, and you'd need a month minimum to fill anything. Then people are staring in shock because Seomun's floating there with his arms spread, a display of the very power he's counting on to draw new players. He turns to Dongjun and asks for a favor, and Dongjun says sure, it's nothing big. Next thing, someone's calling in stunned. Applications are pouring in like crazy. Seomun, tearing down the road on a motorcycle, asks, really? The caller confirms it, a huge flood of applications even though it isn't transfer season, and says he'll print out all the details. Seomun tells him to prep for the interviews. But when Seomun starts reading the profiles, he's not impressed. The rating numbers are low and he's frustrated he can't tell what any of their real hidden skills are just from paper. Then an applicant walks in gushing, tells Seomun he's a huge fan. He explains he played field in school, hated it after graduating, and quit the whole thing. Seomun figures if he applied, he must have had a change of heart. The guy suddenly flares his Esper power and snaps, "Get lost." Seomun doesn't flinch, he loves it. A fan with power like that? The guy's ability surges hard, and he starts bragging about all the articles written about him. Seomun just tells him, fine, go tell the whole world, you bastard. Then he heads for the building, powering up his own blue Esper ability with visible effort as he keeps scouting for talent to sign. With the recruits signed and roles getting handed out, one Esper sits across from Seomun in a formal office laying out exactly what he can do. He's tested his ability out to 2.5 kilometers. But it's not automatic, he explains. He has to find each person by hand, and it works best inside dungeons where he can pin down where the enemy is. This is Jo Seon-ho, an Esper with transfer abilities from a delivery driver background. Jo Sung-ho smiles, confident, offering his ability up as a partnership piece, while the man in white across from him looks anything but reassured. The team's coming together, and the plan behind it stays quiet. Back in the office, Jo Sung-ho pushes for it plainly. He wants his partnership locked in, right here, right now. The man across the table stares at him like he can't believe he's serious. Then Seomun spells out the real fit. Jo Seong-ho's transfer ability pairs perfectly with Linnea, whose jump and speed go nuclear the second someone can drop her exactly where she needs to be. The man's jaw drops. What? Jo Sung-ho slams both hands on the table, sold on it, and rallies the room to move as one. Let's do this, teammates. The recruits file in through the facility's cage gate, and somebody's already cracked open a bottle to celebrate. Spirits are high before they've even sat down. One of the new faces steps up and introduces himself. Captain of Hanchung Industry, No Jung-hwan. His stats back it up, strength maxed out near the top, focus high, agility already at its ceiling. No Jung-hwan works the group easy, telling them not to sweat it, there's no pressure, and that he'll be counting on all of them. Seomun watches him and thinks it plain. Diligent kid, perfect captain material. Seomun and No Jung-hwan get properly introduced, and No Jung-hwan grins that from here on out they're working together. Then he floats pairing Do Sung-ho with someone, 2 peas in a pod. Seomun catches something off. From the shadows, he asks it straight, and the answer comes back just as flat. That's right, Jo Seon-ho will be the one working in the shadows. No Jung-hwan waves the details off for later, tosses out towels and tells them to go drink. He looks around and says it out loud, they finally hit the bare minimum for a real team. One last thing he adds, then calls for everyone's attention to hand down whatever comes next for the newly formed team. Seomun stands up and delivers it with a hand raised. Their new team name is finally set. Then he pulls Jo Sung-ho in and drills the plan home. Just do exactly what they practiced. Jo Sung-ho especially. Jo Sung-ho hesitates, worried. Are you sure that's going to be okay? Seomun cuts the doubt off cold and sends them out. Get out there and show them what you're made of. And they do, Jo Seong-ho's transfer power snapping the team into motion together. Up in the stands, a guest thanks Seomun for the invite. Says it's been ages since he's been to an arena. Seomun grumbles about the state of things, still sour over how badly it had all been going, muttering about that bastard. A woman beside him reassures him, telling Mr. Yup he really can look forward to this team. Seomun shuts his eyes with a satisfied grin. The plan finally in motion, and the sky over the arena opens up bright and clear. With his team finally built, Seomun moves into the next phase, dragging them onto the training field and finding out what they've actually got. The squad lines up on sandy ground facing a water canyon, and the setup splits them A team versus B team inside a practice dungeon called Wizard Canyon. The coach clicks his stopwatch and it reads 3 seconds flat, 100 meters in 3:01, and Baek Haeyeon, the hero's daughter, wasn't even sprinting, just at a light jog. Then they let her open up for real. Baek Haeyeon and a smaller athlete tearing down the red track at full speed as the coach clocks her true pace to see just how far beyond human her ability runs. Up on the stadium steps, 2 watchers talk it over. Jo Sung-ho's faster, sure, but Baek Haeyeon's the real diamond in the rough here. Raw talent with 0 match experience to show for it. When the listener starts heaping praise on him, Baek Jae-ho waves it off and points back at the field. Watch the players, not me. He's dead sure about her too. Fix Baek Haeyeon's running form, he says, and the improvement takes care of itself. She'll be ready for actual matches in no time. And in the dungeon scrimmage, that speed turns brutal. Baek Haeyeon snatches the boss monster clean out from under an opponent, who groans that she stole his monster again. Nobody can pin her down. One player just throws up his hands, asking how he's even supposed to catch her at that speed. Lee Na-yeon, the KB7 player built for jumping and speed, tries to keep pace, leaping to dodge and hardening a shield around herself mid-fight. Still ends up admitting she flat out lost the opponents during the match. The commentator notes how much the passive play has sharpened up, then asks the B team how it feels being on the receiving end. One of them grumbles that the other side is messing with their their heads too. Baek Jae-ho praises the run and starts plotting trash talk to rattle the enemy, tossing an excellent movement. Good job at Lee Nayeon. Lee Nayeon just says thank you and swears she'll keep giving her best. Someone reminds Baek Haeyeon what's riding on this. The world's greatest Esper and club owner himself said he'd make her a key player, but she can't buy it, thinking I'm a permanent benchwarmer from the worst secondary league team. How do I become key or national? The promise just feels too big to believe. And now with a real match looming, Baek Haeyeon's nerves crank up, spinning through her technique while quietly panicking about whether she'll do a good job. Baek Jae-ho calls out and she doesn't even hear him. He asks if she's nervous and she blurts no, not nervous, while her whole body says otherwise. So he levels with her, admitting he was so anxious in his own first match that he actually threw up. Then the real advice: be as nervous as you want, just never doubt your skill. Baek Haeyeon takes it with a quiet okay. And there's the weight of it. This whole team plays under the name of the dead hero Seo Mun-yup himself. No pressure at all. Then the order comes down. Commit to the plan, and the squad moves as one with a roaring cheer. On the floor, YSM splits into 3 separate groups, and a watcher squints at the shape of it, wondering if that's a 4-4-3 formation. Then the strange part: instead of clearing the dungeon, the players cut straight across it without hunting a single monster. Baek Haeyeon dashing forward locked in. They're racing toward a goal, not grinding for kills. And Esper kicks her movement ability into gear, hopping and vaulting over the arena's obstacles at full tilt. Then all 3 YSM runners slam to a dead halt at the edge of a chasm. The A-team and B-team split laid out clean in front of them. The whole unconventional plan built around getting exactly here. At the chasm's edge, one YSM runner throws up a hand and calls the halt, rubble still tumbling from the platforms that just smashed together. This whole sprint was built to reach this exact spot. That's when Jo Sung-ho, their delivery driver Esper, fires up his ability, Object Transfer. He grabs the floating rock platform and just teleports it upward into a spinning vortex. Then he locks his hand forward and shoots a directed line of energy out ahead of the team. A fresh platform materializes right in their path so nobody breaks stride. The whole YSM squad surges after it at full speed, riding the trail Jo Sung-ho lays down. He pings the enemy position and calls it clean. Found you. He tells the team what's waiting. 4 opponents up on the high rock platform. Baek Haeyeon and the runners set their stance and launch straight up the beam at them. They slam down onto the enemy's terrain from above, launching their attack on 4 players who never saw the approach coming. An ambush that hands YSM the opening blow before the defenders can react. They spot the targets and dive in. In this run, the arena's throwing dragons overhead too. Baek Haeyeon leaps into a counter as one swoops at her. Then the combined force lands and slams all 4 enemies backward at once. The caller shouts to hold them and finish it. Got all of them, focus till the end. Arrows rain in mid-fight and the containment snaps shut. One of them just breathes out, perfect. Then immediately warns the rest not to get high on an early win and keep hunting. The team sprints in for the final coordinated hit to bring the dragons down for good, and someone tells Baek Haeyeon to shout the second she runs dry on arrows so the assault doesn't stall. And that steal and run drill is exactly what starts winning them real matches. In an actual game, the enemy team panics, screaming to catch her because she's already lifted 6 of their items. Baek Haeyeon just blurs off at full speed with the loot, powers cracking off her as she goes. One opponent can only sputter, but she's so... Watching from a distance, Nathan Bernard, the elite international Esper, sums her up dry, born to make people rage. Meanwhile, Baek Haeyeon is calmly crouching, in no rush, hunting a safe spot to stash everything. She lifts a stolen cylinder with her ability and whips it away with a swoosh, the whole team clicking now instead of fumbling. Her teammates coordinate off her thefts, turning the stolen loot into the edge that keeps them ahead. One teammate half jokes it feels a little cruel keeping their thief tucked away hidden like that. The thief just grins it off, being funny way better than looking pitiful, and fires his own power off with a crack. The match kicks off with one Esper blasting away, glowing eyes and a huge wave of power, but a rival watching from the shadows just murmurs, a curious scene is unfolding. That confidence lasts about a second, because the next hit slams him flat onto the wooden floor. While teammates fight for their lives, Jo Sung-ho is lying on the floor reading his comics like the whole thing isn't happening. The rest of the team murmurs in a panic, what are they doing? Our team is losing, watching it slip away. But then an Esper grips the stolen object, holds his power back, then unleashes one controlled blast that finally lands a hit, cackling like a maniac as it connects. After watching the team lose, this is the strike that starts turning the match their way. Away from the arena, Baek Haeyeon laughs about the coaching mess and lays out what she pushed for. Cut Shi Myung-soo for being too narrow-minded, and used Choi Hook, the durable one, as the tanker instead. A couple nearby gossips that there's friction between them over exactly this. She turns on Seo Moon, who's squirming a little, and needles him. He turned into coach? Don't be like that, Mr. Yo. He does not look thrilled about the title. Back in the match, Incheon BC players dive into the fray and lock onto Haeyeon's thief, one of them barking, just get caught now, the whole enemy team screaming to not lose her. For Haeyeon, this is new ground. It's her first real time facing an opposing team's dealer, and she knows it's the real test now. Off to the side, a coach is buttering up a player, promising, do as I say, you can become a national player, the best mind thief. Then someone announces the thing they're all fighting under. Our team plays under the name of the hero, Seo Mun-yup. Haeyeon fires off a skill, and the enemy team keeps hunting her, screaming not to lose sight of her. She summons her units and barks, get her, but the opponent blocks it clean and knocks her flat on her back. She rolls with it and slips the next attack, muttering, nice. Then clocks her own squad falling in behind her and grins. They're following along pretty well. The team she was building is finally moving moving as one. Then the coach's voice cuts in, "Look behind you," warning Haeon that a threat is closing in from her blind spot even as her push is going well. Two enemy players stand confused, one gripping a dark object, muttering, "What is she going on about?" They find out fast because bodies come tumbling and rumbling down a tall stone structure right on top of them. Lee Nayeon drops in with a wink, tossing out "Wink heart equals victory," and observers lose it. YSM players jumped from a moving floating island. Insane timing. YSM crashes straight into the Incheon BC defenders and it's already over, someone calling it flat. It is hopeless for Incheon BC. Haeon's steal and run gamble just took its first real win. YSM's steal and run rush shreds the Incheon BC line, one player going down and the rest scrambling into a last defensive huddle. The Espers can't hold their ground. Their defense collapses in one massive energy surge, letting the attackers break through to win the match. The stands erupt and Lee Nayeon soaks it in with Haeon right beside her name flashing up as the play of the game. Nayeon turns and tosses a cheeky sir at the coach, and Haeon fires back that she'll make her into a real ace. Back at the team hangout, they're celebrating what they call their first memorable day. Seomin asks flat out what Korea's longest win streak ever was before this. Seomin brings up Dongjun, the player Hanjong's sponsorship raised, who kept doubting whether all this running around actually changes anything. Dongjun, all confidence, says of course it works. They were told to just rack up wins. The team that used to be Hanjong Industry, now YSM, is sitting at a 31% win rate. His whole thing is, why can't we do it? Seomin sets the bar higher. He wants a 50% win rate. Dongjun reminds everyone he only became a Battlefield player thanks to Hanjong's sponsorship in the first place. The sponsor lays out a contract promising 10,000 in output funding tied to the team name rollout, raising the pressure to deliver on those wins. While one contemplative teammate just watches it all. Dongjun stretches, gets everyone hyped with a loud "Ya feel me," then announces he's leaving and please nobody follow him out because he hates that kind of send-off. Outside the ox liver Korean beef place, Soman lays out the real problem, pulling good players in. Baek Jae-ho, one of the 7 heroes, apparently said they've got some wiggle room in the budget. Hand on chin, our boy chews on it, walking home under the moon with his fist clenched, working the same question over and over. How else do I bring in real talent? Then he checks his tablet and grins. Baek Jae-ho is being helpful for once, which from Seomun is basically a love letter. Just like Seomun predicted, the other teams are already gearing up to answer YSM's streak. The team's sitting pretty now. 18 games, 10 wins, 8 losses. Somewhere new, Baek Jae-ho offers a visitor a personal tour, since the guy says he's got no real goal, just wants to look around. That visitor is Seomun, poking through a training gym where club members are sparring. He shrugs that it's just a school club, but the facilities aren't half bad. Then something catches his eye. Seomun watches one kid land a clean score with an Esper shot and mutters, "He's not bad." He's found his next recruit almost instantly, scouting new talent to bring onto his team, and the coach beside him just sighs. Found him right away, typical of you. So Seomun walks right up to the kid who caught his eye, Yoonbom, and greets him easy, apologizing for showing up late while the kid's cramming for entrance exams. Yoonbom nearly falls over. His brain short circuits on one thought, why is Soman Yup standing in front of me? Seomun asks why he skips training, and BM explains he's grinding for the national college exam because he doesn't think he can make the pro leagues anyway. Then Baeom gushes that it's an honor, he's a huge fan, and sticks out his hand for a shake. Seomun tells him flat that he usually hits people who call themselves fans, then adds Baeom gets a pass, and takes the handshake. The second they touch, Baeom's profile pops up in Seomun's view. Solid numbers across the board, strength, agility, speed, stamina, all sitting in the 50s. His hand lights up as Seomun makes the offer that stops Baeom cold. Sign with me, a recruitment pitch that could change Baeom's whole path, leaving him stunned as he stammers, sign with you? Baeom's human stats flash again as Seomun sizes him up, telling him that at Korea's league level, he's got something real. Seomun thinks he needs to lock Baeom down before another team grabs him, so when the kid stammers and asks really, Seomun just laughs. Baeom asks what ability he even has, and Seomun points right at him, telling him it's obvious, his own ability, while the kid blinks like the words don't compute. Then the recruiter drops the number 300 million won as a signing offer, and Baeom nearly launches out of his shoes at the life-changing sum. He starts to say he'll ask his mom first, then instantly flips to okay, let's go right now, and gets dragged toward the door. A reassuring pat on the shoulder, and just like that, Baeom's bundled into the car, and they peel out fast enough that he's clutching the handle for dear life. Back at base, the report lands. One player already signed from the very first school. Not a bad start at all. So the scout tears off on his motorcycle, buzzing to himself that if one school already gave up a player, there could be a whole bunch more out there. He hits the next school gate, dead sure someone's waiting there for him. Someone always is. Except no. Myeongdo, Yulme, Suhan, Sundo. One after another, every single school turns up empty. His hands clench tighter with each stop. Galdor, Seomin, nothing. Hanjung, Paran, Nanaso, still nothing. He stands there under the open sky and finally admits it out loud. There isn't a single school left to check, which means his search for that someone has failed completely. The confidence that started his morning did not survive the afternoon. He rolls up to one last stop, Youngwon High School, and heads in. Out on the sports field, a kid sits alone and flatly tells him he's got zero plans to go pro. Quick catch up. Seomun died a hero 17 years ago, came back not aged a day, and now he's trying to drag last place Korea back to the top by scouting his own team of overlooked kids. Right now, he and his scouts are digging up raw prospects, and the numbers on this one light up green. Focus maxed at 90, everything else solid, plus a special ability. The recruiter asks the kid if his parents are on board. The kid admits they're dead against him going pro, even though he'd make a ton of money. Then the scout drops the real problem. The kid's got a bug, a flaw baked into his talent. The kid starts to answer, opening his mouth to admit what he actually wants, but the words trail off before he can finish saying it. Cut to Saemon at a table, gesturing all defensive, going, wait, excuse me? This is the chapter where the dead legend plays scout, hunting espers to build from nothing. Then he leans in and shouts it out, hook, line, and sinker. The kid's basically already his. And done, Choi Jungmin signs. 160 million won deposit, 55 million salary, 3-year exclusive deal, and Jungmin standing there next to his motorcycle, now officially on the team. Saman notes Jungmin ran more expensive than Yoonbom, that other prospect, because a whole pile of teams were chasing him too. He tests the kid's power himself, blue esper energy crackling up his legs as he sizes up what Jungmin can actually do. Jungmin's chattering away, something about looking for pork instead of whatever, and Saman just tells him, yeah, head back inside. Then our boy grins and pulls out his tablet. Now shall we get the main event started? 2 signings down and he's not slowing. He rings up Baek Jaeho, one of the 7 heroes now coaching, and asks if he's busy. Jaeho asks right back whether Seomun found any good players. Seomun explains the clock's against them. Scouting for talented kids wraps up by summer, so it's now or nothing. So here's the new problem. Seomun rolls up to a clubhouse and gets blocked at the door. Guards telling him he can't just walk in. Same thing happened at the Blue House apparently, and nobody wants to talk about what went down there. Saman does not argue. He drops the guards with his esper ability and strolls past them, forcing his way inside to reach the players he came for. Inside, a beaten team is slumped after a loss, telling their coach they did their best. That's the kind of misfit squad Seomun's circling. He climbs to an overlook above the facility, eyeing the expensive new setup below, reading the whole place at a glance. A middle-aged man hurries over, all smiles, going on that he should introduce himself. He's the head of the place. Seomun just laughs along, ha ha ha. But behind the smiles, people are sweating him. One thing Seomun Yup is a ticking time bomb, someone you have to watch every second. Word's already spread. Seomun told Bae Jae-ho to change Choi Hook's position, and everyone in Korean esper circles heard about it. Now the worry is real. If this guy actually meets the coach, who knows what chaos breaks loose. Seomun cuts through all of it. I'm Seomun Yup, owner of YSM, he says, here about some business. The coach in front of him tries to greet him and can't stop shaking, stammering out a hello while wondering why he's trembling this hard. Seomun just stares, jaw locked, holding something back, then it clicks. He recognizes this coach's face from his past, which is exactly why he came here on business. The coach fumbles the greeting a second time, still rattling, and Seomun keeps staring him down, not saying a word about what he's just recognized. Simon keeps staring at the trembling coach and just mutters one word, familiar. He knows this face from somewhere, and he's digging for it. A purple-haired player steps in and asks straight up, Mr. Saman Yup, do you know our coach? The captain of Sangsung Spirits, Yeom Ji-yuk, introduces himself, and someone coolly asks what business brings him here. Yeom Ji-yuk lectures the younger man that a captain has to know every player issue, and the kid brushes him off with a lazy sure whatever. So Yeom Ji-yuk pushes, don't you have more important business right now? Then the young man's eyes flare with red and white power, and he grabs his head in pain, snapping that he can't sort this out while it hurts like this. He needs to weed through his own memories. No matter how hard he thinks, he insists. He knows he didn't meet Seomun casually. The coach asks about the dungeons, and the young esper flinches so hard the official yelps and stumbles back. Turns out this coach is so terrified of being recognized by the man who returned that he grew out a mustache just to hide his face. We cut to Somun Station, where a crowd packs in front of the gate of the Vengeful Spirit Temple, a dungeon nobody has cleared yet. A young esper briefs his raid team that this one is slow going because it's stuffed with hidden traps. That planner is Kal Moon-sung, 24, all confident smiles as he lays out the strategy. But one hot-headed esper snaps and lunges, and an older man named Jinte grabs him from behind, telling him to calm down and finish the plan before they enter. A red-haired esper just laughs the whole thing off, sneering that Kale Moon-sung is all bark and there's no way he's following some kid's plan. They push into the dungeon, and a huge burning core erupts up ahead. Kal Moon-sung shouts the play, tankers rotate and hold, main unit picks the monsters off one at a time. The red-haired esper ignores every word of it and charges in solo, roaring move. We don't need to listen to a brat like him. And right on cue, a hidden trap drops on him. He barely has time for a confused hum before it hits, then throws Kal Moon-sung's exact warning back in his face. Hidden traps we can't get through quickly. Reading the briefing after ignoring it is a bold move. The trap detonates and blows the red-haired esper clean off his feet, tossing him back like a rag. And instead of learning anything, he lands laughing his head off, veering up to swing at the towering monster in front of him. He can barely stand, but he still points a shaking finger and snarls that he'll settle this outside the game with whoever set him up. Then he grabs his own skull, groaning that just thinking about that guy makes his bones ache. Cut to that guy, and it's Seomun. All easy grins as he tells a nervous companion not to be scared. He's clearly needling somebody about an old incident, waving it off like, that was ages ago. What do you take me for? Before adding, but yeah, you'd absolutely do that. Sweating, Seomun keeps twisting the knife, saying if the guy doesn't care who overhears, that's fine by him too. And a man in a black suit storms up, jabbing a finger and accusing him of being the one who ignored orders and ran his mouth about some junk theory. The suit won't drop it, snapping that no, seriously, Seomun did something wrong, and now he's doing something wrong all over again. As he says it, the accusation seems to physically crack the air around Seomun. Seomun answers by launching into a full sprint, calling out that he'll go easy this one time. The suit keeps yelling mid-chase, "Do you even have a conscience? You of all people should know better." Then the real point drops. The suit accuses him of knowing exactly whose orders Baek Jae-ho was following when that whole position change went down. So this isn't just banter, it's Baek Jae-ho's murky past getting dragged into the light. New angle, and it turns out this is a negotiation. A man grins into his phone in the dark, muttering that people love this kind of thing, while across from him, another figure lays out one flat demand. "Give me Choi Hulk." The club owner's face twists between frustration and defeat, grumbling, fine, there are plenty of proximity types out there anyway, but the money is the real gut punch, and he wails that they want 1.2 billion out of a broke club owner like him. He explodes, cursing the guy as a crazy bastard, then grudgingly admitting the worst part, this guy actually does everything he says. Turns out the negotiator is Kale Moon-sung, and the masked legend behind the whole squeeze is Seo Moon. The owner counters with a trembling 800 million, and Kale Moon-sung snaps it up, marveling that's actually pretty cheap. Losing that much staggers the broke owner, sealing the deal at a price that guts him. They shake on it, agreeing there's no bad blood between them anymore, and Choi Hyuk changes hands. Seomin stands there cool as anything, calling the man his new title, Coach Kale Moon-sung. Alone now, Kale Moon-sung clenches his fist, the weight of what he just signed up for settling in. Seomin looks quietly pleased, another piece slotted into his Korean team. One more handshake seals a formal deal, all grins and accord. The recruitment maneuvers are done, and everyone's smiling like they didn't just get squeezed. But the win comes with a threat brewing elsewhere. At home, Baek Hyun, the hero's daughter, greets Seomon as he walks in, fanning herself against the heat, then pressing him on where all the good players are hiding these days. A sign his recruiting job is far from finished. She softens, worried, asking why he's been grinding so hard lately, saying it's gotten hard to even see his face. Sitting close, Seomon admits she's not wrong, though he hesitates on it. Baek Hyun notices the book in his hand and asks what it is. Seomon smirks and reads the cover, teasing that the world is wonderful. Books exist even for dumb kids like her, a French book. That's when it slips out and Seomon's face drops. Go to France, he repeats, like the words don't compute, because Baek Hyun has been taking French lessons for a reason he didn't see coming. And there it is, Jake Rand, the field agent, reports in from a formal setting that the Korean end of the procedure is already completed. Paris Lumiere has a contract with Baek Hyun's name on it, ready to pull Korea's ace overseas. In a formal office, a woman in a business suit sits across from Saman, and two men make their pitch. They're interested in this beautiful mademoiselle. They mean Baek Hyun, and they're offering to recruit her onto a Paris contract that would take her out of Korea. Then it's official. The Paris Lumiere contract is signed, and Korea's ace has a deal pulling her overseas. A gray-haired man finally connects the dots on the French lessons. She was set on learning French this whole time, he thinks, and he was too busy to notice. He trusts Jake Rand, so it's done. He decides it's time to talk to Seomon directly. He brings a purple-haired man along, who asks why he was even invited, and the answer lands flat. The Moro brothers want to invite Seomon to Paris too. The Moro brothers pitch the best technology money can buy. Seomon hears them out, then tells the purple-haired man his own plan is simpler. He's trying to grow his player count season by season, one at a time. The purple-haired man just grins, dead set on locking in the transfer that sends his player abroad, no matter who objects. And so Baek Hyun joins the elite French side. She rolls through the airport with her luggage, two women trailing her, and a dark-haired woman lights up that she's finally arrived. Then a purple-haired young man spots someone he did not expect and nearly loses it, shouting Saemun Yop's name out loud. The club owner steps in to explain himself to Baek Hyun and her group. The reporters, he says, were all here for her, so he came in person to oversee how his new player gets managed. Behind the polite face though, the club owner is watching Seomon and thinking one thing, this sly snake. Elsewhere, a man staring at a screen full of schedules reacts hard, and the report explains why. Informant Baek Jae-ho says the target lives out in the countryside with a smart wife, doing just fine. Someone reaches out and touches the screen, showing a blue-haired man's face. A woman takes in the news and goes stiff with shock. He's in France. That confirmation sends someone lunging into the attack, arms thrust forward to unleash their power and detonate a chain of explosions across the field. The hunt for the target has turned violent. Then an aircraft lurches hard over the ocean, the crew scrambling as they realize they're stuck in the middle of the Atlantic. Back in Paris, the Lumiere staff throw a warm welcome for Seomin himself, and he tells them he's happy to see them too. They wave him to settle in since everything's already been prepped. Someone readies a golden spear, and a staff member checks in with Baek Hyun, asking if she's comfortable before they begin. Inside the arena, a shadowed opponent charges up Esper energy, then fires a golden blast straight at Baek Hyun, launching the match that will test whether she can withstand the assault as she braces for impact. She answers with her own orange burst and slams him back hard, the hit landing clean. Then Baek Hyun locks in, blue energy flaring around her eyes, overpowering his attacks and seizing control of the fight as their trade of blows rocks the arena. She finishes it with one cyan strike that flattens her opponent. Test over, she steps out of the pod grinning and just calls it fun. Waiting for her are her mother and Uncle Yop, both praising how far she's come, with Uncle Yop noting she's gotten a whole lot stronger. At 24, Baek Hyun is still climbing, and her post-test profile proves it. Agility 90, speed 94, numbers that read like a world-class ace already. Saman looks over her sheet and thinks she could become a key player. Walker, the skilled French player, turns to two other espers and starts laying out exactly how good she is. Someone catches sight of a figure stepping stepping through the arena doorway and mutters that it's definitely him. Simon stands ready and lays out the stakes plainly. 3 players are ranked top 3 in all of Battlefield. 2 of them compare notes saying this guy's as fast as Baek Jae-ho was in his prime, and that kind of speed is rare. The name lands: Nathan Bernard, Elite Esper, one of the top 3. The purple-haired man admits, almost uneasy, that he never thought they'd end up meeting like this. A wary reunion between the 2 of them. The pink blonde man across from him stays calm and composed. Then the story rewinds to what made all this matter. A massive destructive aura, Seomun Yup and the rest of the 7 heroes storming the last dungeon and beating it, ending the Burrowers' War. Their spoils get laid out, golden light pours down, and a throne and crown fill a grand hall. The legend cemented while Seomun was gone 17 years. Back in the present, Espers are hot entertainment now, and one man stands glowing at the center of it. He's the ace of the France national team. This is Nathan Bernard, ace of Paris Lumiere, one of the top 3 teams in the world, and player of the year 3 years running, 2019, 2020, 2021. 2 of the players react in confusion to something off-panel as the white-haired teammate says he wanted to say hi to the new addition. Baek Hae-yeon, pigtails and all, snaps to attention. Nathan Bernard greets her with a cheerful bonjour, another teammate waves, and Baek Hae-yeon just watches, sizing up the world's top player she'll now have to train alongside. Then he moves, and Baek Hae-yeon barely tracks it, shouting in shock why the hell this guy is so strong as the impact sends her reeling. He pats her shoulder, easy and friendly, and she thanks him. Then he ruffles her hair, and the tough ace goes soft, thinking her childhood hero is making her shy. Nathan Bernard's profile explains the terror. His alter ego ability spends half his aura to split himself in 2, so she was never fighting just one of him. Someone flares his own blue aura, and someone reviewing the stats calls him a crazy bastard. Stamina 87, skill 90, the alter ego trick, and a note that he'll surpass Baek Jae-ho at this rate. And that ties into the new weapon prep. An analysis of his numbers against the tanker class shows stamina 80 is no weakness at all. The KB1 League tankers average a cap of 75, so he's already sitting higher than the men built to soak damage. Quick catch-up, Seomin died a hero 17 years back, came back like no time passed, and he's clawing Korea up from last place by rebuilding a team and coaching it himself. Right now, the analysts are stacking his numbers against the real monsters, and they land on Walker, an Esper who already hit his max potential. They can't figure out how Seomun jumped so far so fast, and one of them admits even he ducks a solo fight against Walker. Then someone brings up the simple fact that outweighs all of it. This guy walked into danger and came back alive. Off to the side, Baek Hae-yeon's mom teases about the type she likes, rough and valiant over the polished ones, then waves it off and says attentive men like Baek Hae-yeon's father are fine too. Baek Hae-yeon calls out that she's off shopping with her mom, and Seomun just heads for the workshop with a bald smith already hammering away at hot metal. The smith lays out everything his workshop has built and lets Seomun look over an ornate blade up close. He explains the shop bled money for years, until Battlefield turned weapons into a real industry. So now 2 suited men roll out gear made just to gift him. One of them says he's genuinely happy this day finally came, and they open the case with a burst of light. Seomun sees spears inside and just says, "Spears?" He pours his aura into one and it lights up, and he lets out a real wow. The suits explain his old foldable spear was good, but these use high-tech materials, so they trade a little durability for way more. Seomun takes them, likes how portable they are, and says as long as he cares for them, he can use them forever. Then the suit adds the catch. The spears aren't only for him. Seomun clocks it right away. These are for sponsorship. Cut to another room, where a seated man asks a guy in sunglasses if he remembers a certain past matter. The sunglasses man just waves it off, says he's immune so the old business doesn't touch him, and asks what he's even supposed to do now. He throws his arms up cocky and drops the line that seals it. His target can't take anything back because the man isn't even a Battlefield player. Baek Hae-yeon's back from a shopping run, holding up bags and calling out that they grabbed gifts for Uncle Yup too, all the way from a shop called Chalin. Seomun jumps at something, eyes wide with a startled huh, as that little white spirit of his pops into view. Then he settles and asks if Baek Hae-yeon's finally come home. Cut to the scheming room, where the sunglasses man leans in hard on the 2 seated guys and lays out the whole dirty plan to sneak their weapon into official channels. They laugh it off, saying it doesn't matter which country does it, and walk through the trick step by step. Register in France, declare the weapon through customs, run it all through a proxy. The final order is simple. Send their own staff straight to the association to push it through. A woman's voice cuts in, flat out calling him a bastard who planned this crooked scheme from the very start. He just shrugs it off, telling her not to worry about the snakes. Somewhere else, a guy sits clutching his head, groaning that his diary's damaged and someone needs to call an employee, then just hunches over on the chair in misery. Back with Seomun, someone congratulates him on the sponsorship contract and the pro player registration, telling him he's the real deal now. Seomun waves both hands, still sour about the slippery jerks, and grumbles that maybe he should just contract with Iris Lumiere, a rival outfit instead. Vacation's almost up, so when someone asks about time off, the answer is that they still practice twice a week, no matter what. Then Nathan Bernard, the top 3 international Esper, stands there radiating pure competitive fire, not even trying to hide it. An onlooker mutters what an interesting guy he is. Nathan Bernard bumps fists with him, and just says it plain, fine, let's fight. The team huddles over the shrinking vacation, one guy pushing to make the most of it, another snapping that now now's not the time to mess around. Then bodies collide in a training clash, and the sparring leaves one fighter battered on the ground while two watchers stand stunned at how badly he lost. One manages, well, at least he didn't wet himself. Out in a crowd, a woman whispers to the guy beside her that the dark-haired one is Seo Munya. She saw him on the news in Paris. Nearby, a hooded figure lingers in the shadows, watching, saying nothing. Seomun lets his Esper power rip with a heavy boom, a raw show of force that tells everyone watching exactly how outmatched they'd be, and when it clears, he just stands there while the crowd gapes. Someone steps up aggressive, demanding to know what he wants. Another glares and starts raising the stakes, growling that if Seomun picks a fight, then he'll, though the threat never quite finishes. Seomun blows right past all the tension and just grins, telling the fan sure he'll sign the autograph. A man introduces his niece and asks Seomin to take good care of her. Seomin hits her with a cheerful bonjour, shrugs a yeah sure, and keeps strolling along happy while the two follow, calling back for them to be happy. Watching him go, the man sizes Seomun up in his head. First impression's rough, but the guy's actually got a good heart, so he decides to tell Haeon to be friends with him. Now serious, the same man studies a glowing tablet and works through the numbers on Seomun. The read is blunt, he just isn't marketed well, because power-wise, he's not one bit behind Walker or Nathan Bernard, and those two are top 3. Then the data throws him, an unseen voice wondering how Seomun has a whole separate plant-based ability on top of everything, and half-jokingly asking if the guy just really likes plants. Back home, Seomun greets Baekhyun warm and easy, asking if she's talked to Chi-Chi yet and when exactly she got in. Up on a ridge over the mountains, Nathan Bernard, the elite Esper gunning for the top, is talking about the world's strongest. Bak Jae-ho, one of the 7 heroes coaching now, watches him and says that explains his ability, then notes he's in a strangely good mood this morning. Nathan says it straight out to Baekhyun. She's been both his idol and the wall he's been trying to climb his whole career as a next-gen Esper. Then it dawns on Nathan that the idol he's chased his whole career is standing right here in front of him, and his whole face drops. He's staring at Seomin's memorial plaque, 1976 to 2005, and the words land plain, but you died in the final dungeon. The dead legend is back, and Nathan knows it. So he makes his vow anyway. He'll fight Seomun with everything he's got. Then he cracks a knowing little smile and just wishes him good luck. Meanwhile, the Korean squad's coming together. A whole overhead spread of Espers in blue, Baekhyun and Baek Jae-ho right in the middle of them. Baek Jae-ho starts laying out a plan, saying since they've got a special situation this time. Nathan cuts in, wanting the details of how they'll split the roster, by position, by balance, how exactly. Then he clenches his fist, committing to whatever role the plan hands him. A heavy dun drops and both sides square up to fight. The full team snaps into formation, locking in for the confrontation that's about to decide who comes out on top. And that's where our boy stands now. Seomun's back from the dead. His misfit Korean squad is assembled, and the whole world's best, Nathan included, are lining up to test him. The legend picked up the game again, and the stage he's building toward is the world stage. That